There, I think I got it. We good? Fuck that. I pride myself on trying to make this look as professional as possible, and I just messed that all up. So that's cool. Good morning, everybody. Good night, Dineeth, because it's what 11
Hello,
p.m. there, right?
everyone. It is, yes, it is quite late, but that's okay. I'm happy to hang out.
I am absolutely like stoked because this I wasn't expecting Space Marine buffs when this balanced data
Nice.
slate. Like I was just hoping to rein in Quins and Tau a bit
Yeah.
and then call it good. I was gonna be very happy, but instead they're like, "Oh, here you go. Here's a nice little gift for all of you power armor players." But before we get into that too much, we always start off my little interviews with Dineeth with an Australian slang segment because it is funny to me. This time I
Uh,
didn't ambush him with one, and he's gonna tell us one instead. So take it away, Dineeth.
this is quite an obtuse Australian slang saying. It equates to essentially we're not here to muck around or we're not here to fuck around, and the saying is we're not here to fuck spiders, and it's a gold one. I like it. I like it a lot.
It's solid. I'm a fan as well.
I'll challenge all your listeners to sneak that into regular conversation this week.
just like slapping the door and be like, "We're not here to fuck spiders."
Yeah.
No. All right. Oh, okay. I'm gonna just switch to the browser view here, and then we're going to take a look. We're going to get straight into this. The balanced data slate hit on Friday. I know it is Sunday. Happy Easter, by the way. Oh, and happy birthday, Dineeth. It was your birthday like 2 days ago?
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you, mate. Yeah, it was on Friday. Yeah, thank you. Got the balanced data slate for my birthday.
Yeah, buddy. Congratulations. You got your fish people nerfed, but you got your Deathwatch buffed, so hey.
That's it. That's it. I don't think the fish got nerfed, mate. Don't worry.
Oh, well, I mean, the indirect fire got nerfed at least, so
Yeah.
that's something. All right,
That's
so I'm sure everybody joining us right now has heard about this. The Deathwatch and the Grey Knight discords have been going absolutely bonkers about this. It seems like it's the day of the Terminator, apparently. So Armor of Contempt is the sneaky little gift that every power army got. So that includes Chaos Space Marines and Sisters of Battle, but more notably, of course, Loyalist Space Marines. And just to sum it up as fast as I can, if you take the entire Space Marine book, with a few exceptions, everybody's armor just went up by 1, more or less, except against AP 0 shooting. So I was always bitching about Grey Knight Terminators not having storm shields. They basically have storm shields now. If you put them in cover, I think to hit their Crux Terminatus, you have to hit him with AP 6 or more, or AP, which is just like, it's just insane. Like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So a Terminator in cover right now to even hit to get an armor save of 4. So that's what a storm shield would give you as an invul. You need to be hit with AP 5. And there's a lot of AP in the game right now, but there's very little AP 5 plus. So it's basically just plasma, right? Like that's the only way you can get to AP 5. So take it away, Dineeth. When you saw this as your birthday gift, what did you?
I think that the biggest thing here is not that Marines all got a buff. It's that we all saw in the last year or so the new books that came out. Like starting, if we even go as far back as Drakari, and we look at Drakari, then Admech, then let's say T-Sun's Orcs, and then we roll into the big boppers this year of, Tau, Custodes, now Tyranids, and I think Tyranids will be pretty unscathed.
Yeah.
Like all of those armies have ways to just crush a Marine body, and a lot of it's because of the, I guess, scaling up of the damage profile. Like let's look at what a bolt gun does, and then we look at what a Custodes, spear gun does, and we look at what a Tyranid, Death Spitter does. Like the damage has just scaled up so much in the last 12 months of codexes. You know,
Yeah.
what this does, it doesn't necessarily give Marines a direct buff. It kind of just says, hey, those little damage buffs we gave all the other books, they're a little bit less relevant. You know, it pulls them back into check, but only against Marines and sisters and things like that. So it's a really interesting way that they've done it. I'm not sure if it's good or bad, because there's a few builds that I've been looking at and a few of our guys have been playtesting that are just fucked, like that are just ridiculous because of this change.
Yeah.
One interesting thing to note for, I guess, the armies that initially ignored AP, because what essentially this rule does, it doesn't boost your armor directly. It just says all attacks coming into you, you reduce the AP by 1. You know,
Right.
so that's essentially what it does. But, you know, the applications of this is there were some factions like Valorous Heart Sisters and in Space Marine's case, Salamanders,
Valorous
that had
Heart,
this
yeah.
base. And they changed their chapter tactic to something equally fucked, which is you can never reroll wounds against them. And that's amazing. Like the buffs that Marines got, less to push themselves up, but more to rein everything else in, is massive. And I think I played against Grey Knights actually about 3 days ago, against my friend Luke, just when the update came out. Actually, on my birthday, we had a game, and I was playing my Tau indirect list just to see how much it got hit. And yeah, like Tau indirect is nothing to Grey Knights anymore. It's
Yeah.
done.
Well,
So massive.
I mean, when I played Tau with my Grey Knights in an RTT a few weeks ago, I got handily had my butt kicked from behind walls. So,
Mm.
you know, I'm not complaining, but I also
Yeah.
don't play Tau.
Well, you went from getting a 5-up save to the airbursts that ignore cover to now getting a 2-up save to the
Yeah.
airbursts. So
And
yeah,
you have
it's
a
amazing.
-1 to hit. So
Huge, right? Huge.
yeah, huge. All right, I want to remind everybody in chat, we do this live so that you can ask questions. So pop in whenever. We'll squeak it in. So just go to town. Like, yeah, unrestricted comments, go. Oh, shit. All right, so, I mean, at first, you know, of course, I said, oh, gosh, this is so great for, like, Indomitor kill teams are going to be just nuts. You can still transhuman them as well. I think we talked briefly on Discord about eliminators as well. So if we talk about those bastards, so with the removal of Bodyguard, basically just giving Lookout Sir, like they effectively took the Bodyguard rule, and you can see it right here. They have removed Bodyguard as it was effectively and thrown it away. Like a Bodyguard as we know it in every codex ever is now gone, and instead units with the Bodyguard rule grant Lookout Sir even if they are fewer than 3 models. So if you have one, what is it, Death Shroud Terminator running around with your Death Guard HQ, you can't shoot at the HQ. But it doesn't have Bodyguard where you can't interact with it at all and play sneaky behind wall like shenanigans. This kills that Iron Hands build where they made the crazy character Contemptor Dreadnought that would just stand in the open and do tons of damage. That's dead. So eliminators now, I started looking at that with the bolt guns. I'm like, okay, if Bodyguard's gone, snipers become good again. And then I was looking at the potential defensive profile of eliminators as well. You stick those guys in cover, they get their camo cloak, so now they're on a 1-up. Then they ignore AP1, right? So if you're being shot with AP, I think you're at 0 now, so you're still on a 2-up. You can transhuman them and pop smoke. So what was the math that we did? It was like to even take them to a 3-up, you needed to hit them with like AP4 or something.
Yeah, because AP4 would mean they'd cop the AP3, and if they're on a 1-up in cover, that takes them to a 4-up. So you have to hit them with AP3 essentially to get them to a 3-up.
Right,
that makes sense.
Which is what their natural armor save is.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And then you can pop smoke on them for -1 to be hit, and you can transhuman them for only wound me on 4s. It's like suddenly eliminators are just, how do you get them? How do you kill them
Well,
at
it gets
range
even
anyway?
more ridiculous because we can have mixed units with kill teams, and you can have a Helix adept hanging out with them, right? So
Yep.
there's a world where 4 eliminators just ignore the first wound every turn, and like you have CP rerolls, you have ways to keep them alive. You know, you fail that save. Look, he might get healed up next turn by an apothecary. Like, there's so many things that mean your backfield units or the little screening units just can't get picked up as much. And I think it's more relevant. You know, the eliminators argument's great because, you know, the biggest thing with that change with Bodyguard is it's not a separate rule to look out, sir. So any snipers just go straight through it. Like,
Right.
there's none of this bodyguarding stuff anymore. So it means the factions that have the squishy characters, you know, which are Drakari, which are Harlequins. Harlequins are shitting in their breeches when they look against, you know, 9 eliminators. They can't really step out against that. They're fucked. You know, Eldar characters, your Farseers and stuff, can't really handle that en masse.
Yeah.
GSC really can't handle it. You know, it's pretty terrifying. So that there are ways that, you know, eliminators and stuff, like you said, become relevant. But the biggest thing is you can't dig Marines out of an area as easily anymore. And that becomes really impactful when you have a fast moving Marine unit that hits an objective or hits an opponent's front line and just sticks in there, and
Yeah.
you just can't dig them out. Like, how are you going to dig out like a kill team that's got like 3 Terminators, 3 Bikers in there? Like that, you're
Yeah.
going to have to put half an army into that, and that thing is obsec. Like it's a nightmare to clean up.
Yeah, and then don't forget with the army of renown, and this is my favorite part. Like, you could shift into salamanders twice a game,
Yeah, it's
so you get to
so.
now you get to they can't reroll wounds against you.
Yeah, like if you're going into a tower army that relies on stuff like the 3 or 4 units rerolling wounds, you just slam a kill team into their front line, tag a whole heap of stuff, and then pop sallies. It's like, well,
Yeah, have,
they're not getting moved. Like,
yeah, have a
or if
great
you just
time.
hit the middle of their army, pop space wolves and touch everything, it's like you better kill all of this, or it's heroic intervening at you. Like it's a nightmare,
Yeah,
right? Like,
it's gonna come into everything. Yeah, oh man, I am so excited to run my Deathwatch at this RTT. Uh, I have a real toss up because I was playing this 10-man Terminator brick list just for giggles at the last RTT, and
yeah,
it did better than I thought. I came in third,
nice.
but now it would be a real menace.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I think the key is finding the balance now where you've got enough units in the army that are cheap enough yet durable rather than
Yeah,
going too durable. And then, because look, the long and short of it is you still can get drowned out with 2 up saves. You
absolutely.
know,
Yeah,
if a unit of 5 crisis suits with 60 burst shots hits you and it's like, oh, here's 42 up saves. Well, like, I guess you're failing a handful. I guess you're losing a few Terminators,
yeah.
and
You
then the plasma hits you, right? So like, if that's going to be an issue, then we need to understand that you need stuff in the army that can just take the bulk 2 up saves cheaply. So let's say basic veterans in cover, they can do that. And
yeah.
then when the heavy stuff comes in, allocate that to the termies. And I think that's going to reward the really good generals in Deathwatch, because it's going to allow them to, you know, make use of the versatile units that we have. And man,
Yeah,
I'm excited. It's great.
me too. Martin and Martin in chat. Hey, what's up? Don't forget, you can ask us questions like all kinds of dumb shit. Just go ahead. We started this off with Aussie slang, so like, you know, we're not. This isn't like Vanguard Tactics where we're all very professional.
Hey, we still try and be professional.
Ish. Although that introduction, my like, oh, it's been a while. Like, there's some rough edges now. I do like that they specifically called out with the armor of contempt thing that Dread Knights don't get it, and I'm totally okay with that. Like, the Dread Knight
Yeah.
is very good as it is, and
Oh yeah.
them calling that up. Rob S is asking, how much do you think Grey Knight will go up in the rankings? I mean, that just yeah. So my initial gut reaction is we'll really just have to wait and see. I think that, I mean, Terminator's just got the survivability buff that I think that they really needed. Counteract that though, I still think they're too expensive because every other Terminator and every other army also got this change, and their points did not change. Are they bad? No, and they never were. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that they'll be really, really good.
I think the biggest thing here is, the armies that were most prevalent in not the meta, but the armies that were most prevalent in communities got buffed, right? Like Space Marines,
Yeah,
Sisters,
that's
Chaos
true.
Space Marines, like Grey Knights. These are all armies that people have. Like if they buffed, let's say, I don't know, Corsairs, like no one would care because no one has a Corsairs army, or Harlequins, right? Like very few people have full Harleys armies. So because they buff Marine armies, we're just going to see more Marines. And Grey Knights are in an interesting position because if you look at the top dogs that are about to roll out, it's no secret the Tyranids are going to roll in and do some real damage. Like
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of the stuff they have cuts straight across what Tau, Custodes, Harleys were good at anyway. You know,
Yeah.
and let's be realistic, the Tyranids won out on this balanced data slate. Like they went completely unscathed, and they're just sitting as top dogs. Like let's keep that there. So we
Yeah,
need something that
it's
can manage that. Yeah.
yeah, that's an excellent point. I was thinking that too. Like obviously the NIDS book just came out or isn't yet out.
I mean,
It
I think it's
just
about to come out. I
well,
can't keep track. It
it's
was
been
leaked like a month early.
right. I was gonna say it's been leaked so long now that it's effectively
Mm,
out in my mind, and like they
yeah.
have, like those relic bone swords or whatever, where they're like 4 damage, AP -5. You don't get a save at all. It specifically says you don't get any saves. You don't get an invul save. You don't get an armor save. Nothing. So
Yeah. It's silly
that
season, isn't it?
yeah, that kind of thing is gonna be putting Terminators on like 5 ups or like 6 ups, and you're gonna, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess you're not even making the save, so that's just gonna kill Terminators. Like it,
Yeah.
any wounds will kill a Terminator straight up. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who.
Yeah. Like my kind of view is because things like mortal wounds exist, because things like, ignoring invos, ignoring stuff exists. I don't think the strength is just in the Terminators. I think our basic, 2 wound firstborn or intercessor Marines got a lot of value.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because
yeah, they did.
the thing with the Terminator is it has a lot of drawbacks. But now all of a sudden we can take, let's say, in a Vanguard veteran unit, be it Firstborn Marines or Deathwatch or whatever. We used to always take a combat weapon and a storm shield for the 2 up, 4 up, right? So what we can start doing now is taking a couple of storm shields, so you have the 4 up invo when you need it, and the 2 up armor when you need it. But the rest of the models have a functional 2 up against neg 1, neg 2, neg 3, right?
Yeah,
So you can afford to do stuff like take extra combat weapons in that unit. So all of a sudden, those models that were previously taking, points-based war gear to survive are now taking either, they're a lot cheaper because you don't have the shields, or their damage output just got sent through the roof because they got double claws now, so stuff like
yeah.
that starts to happen. And I
It
think the biggest bang for buck you get is actually on firstborn Marines for that rather than Terminators. So I think
yeah.
everyone's a real winner.
I mean, it's interesting that you had that breakdown because I went through all of those same mental processes myself.
Mm,
Because I
yeah,
was looking at my list and I'm like, oh man, Thunder Hammers are really only AP3 now, only in Assault, but they're really only AP2 effectively against Marines. Like, that's not that great. And then I was like, okay, I'll drop the Thunder Hammers, I'll do Lightning Claws, and I have tons of Terminator Lightning Claws, but they aren't magnetized, they aren't painted, they aren't like
yeah,
nothing. So I'm looking at this like I have a week to get this list ready for this
yeah,
tournament, and I don't think I can paint that many Lightning Claws that fast. But
yeah. I mean, Fist and Stormbolter Termies are like the biggest winner, right? Like they get it for free. They get the Storm Shield treatment for free, essentially.
yeah,
Then you can start whacking Cyclone missiles on top to make, excuse me, a real issue. Like if there's 3 Terminators in someone's backfield with bolters, no one cares. But if those 3 Terminators have Cyclone missiles on their shoulders, people start to care.
yeah.
And they can be big damage sponges. And then the beauty of Deathwatch, you can have extra stuff in the unit that are on 2 ups, like just basic marine bodies that can tank the big shit.
I know
You don't
it's
have to
so
waste, yeah.
it's so
So like
crazy.
that it just opens up Deathwatch, and like the Army of Renown, I'm happy to dive into,
Yeah.
later in the episode, because the Army of Renown got some serious legs.
I'm
And
gonna. I mean, even our non-army of renown stuff got some serious
yeah,
legs. I could see the dread like fortress,
bro,
like depending on terrain. Obviously, I could see the
yeah,
dread blob, and now you don't even have to really bring the Dominus Aegis,
yeah.
which means you don't have to keep them as one little blob. You can actually spread them out.
You know what
Um,
got absolute money?
that's crazy
Three
good.
assault centurions are absolute fucking money
Oh
right now.
yes. Oh man.
Like what kills that easily, right? Like,
Yeah.
and if you put that in a corner, just chill for a bit, white scar it like into someone's bum hole, just send it into their deployment zone,
Yeah.
and like what digs that out? Like very few things can dig that out. It's
Oh, that's
great.
beautiful. All right, we got a bunch of questions, and we're just gonna pile right through them. So, in order, we have Seth asking, "How do we feel about double Indomitor kill teams with the Gravis armor? I mean, the what is it? Unyielding in face of the foe strat, where you get +1 to your armor save against damage 1.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's I don't the the thing is you're already at. Oh man, yeah. I mean, you're just straight up
it's
on 2-ups.
it's
Like,
situational. I
yeah.
mean, it's really, really good when you get hit with like the stuff like, Superior Shuriken, Hail of Doom, I think it's called now, where the Eldar Craftfall drops in on 6s to hit, they auto Shuriken. So Dire
Oh,
Avengers hit you
yeah.
at AP4, like just in 6s to hit. If that thing looks at you, you pop that strat straight away, because then you cut the AP by 2 essentially of that, and you're
Yeah.
AP2 in cover. Cool, you're taking 4 ups to all their Shuriken. You don't care. So there's situational uses of it. I'm I don't know. I haven't play tested the new Deathwatch, so I can't speak with experience. I'm really just theory crafting. I think the single Indomitor lists are really good. I'd like to see how a double Indomitor goes. I think you still want bodies on the board, right?
Yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
you go to a double Indomitor list, you drop down to about 40 veterans, and
Man,
that starts to be, yeah,
like those
it
are all
starts
the
to become an
points I
issue.
was gonna like bring up. This is
Yeah,
great. Yeah. It's like
like we
talking
still
to myself.
Yeah, like we still we still need to realize that Harlequins exist, right? Like the Void Weavers got nerfed, but 60 player list still exists, and you can't really fight 60 players with 40 Marines. You
Yeah.
need like 50. Like, let's be real.
Yeah,
So
that's been my thing, especially so my eyes are seeing really through the Army of Renown. That's like what I've been focusing on the last few
yeah,
months when I'm talking about my Deathwatch, and it's just with the current points values for everything, you're looking at 3 characters, your choice,
mhm,
whatever, basically, and then
yeah,
5 kill teams. If you
yep,
and
that's
then
the
the
basics.
Indomitor is the most expensive one, obviously.
Yeah,
If you add another really expensive Indomitor, you could go up to like 4 characters, but you're gonna drop one whole kill team, which, like you said, you kind of want those bodies on the board. You gotta
yeah.
hold objectives, right? So
Yeah, and the other thing with how the Nachmund missions are, a lot of them require you to have units that do actions.
yeah,
So you're either penned into this thing of, do I take optimized priority to
we,
be able to action and shoot, or do I just have more units and take more other warlord traits? So, like, if you're down to, let's say, 40 vets or not more than that, you're probably looking at needing optimized priority here and there, or having the CP in lieu for action and shoot and things like that.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Uh,
think, because hear me out. In a perfect world, what we would have, well, me and a few others would have loved is the balanced update cuts the points on Marines a bit, and we can fit 60 vets into a list.
yeah,
That would be like premium. That would be money, but we can't. So I would still do more rather than less.
I was actually wondering like about that because I was hoping for just like a points reduction, like 10%
Mm,
or something, just across the board for maybe
yeah,
even just infantry or something, right? Just
yeah,
but
like
this is more interesting. I mean,
yeah,
points values are the most obvious change you can make for any balance, but like this is more interesting, but it doesn't let us bring more stuff. It does let our stuff
mm,
stick around a lot longer,
mm.
which is nice.
The way
So
I kind of see it is like the way a lot of new codexes got, like people call it, like codex creep, where all the weapons just slowly got stronger.
yeah,
we didn't really get that. We just got like a durability just pushes the other way. So it didn't make shit cheaper. Like it just means that we can stay alive. So I think sometimes it's a bit silly to double down on the fact that stuff's not cheaper by taking more elite stuff because we have less in the army. Yeah, it's good at not dying, but I mean, the 2-wound Marine might have just stayed alive anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
I mean, double Indomitor, I prove me wrong. You know, it could be amazing.
Well,
but my gut tells me single is that's where I'm going.
so follow up to this, I'm gonna skip ahead slightly. So Fred Fortman is
Hey,
in
Fred.
chat right now, and he is saying he played double Indomitor at LVO. Which, Fred, I wish I knew you were there, man, because I would have like gone out of my way to stalk you. But here we are. He says it has 50 Marines and threatens 2 massive alpha strikes, which is true. It's a lot of CP to do that, but it is a ton of shots. And I'm assuming Fred is running, 2 teams of 4 aggressors and 1 in bolt inceptor. In which case, you're looking at something like if you give them 2 up to hit from whatever, and then you do the auto wound strat, you're looking at something like 56 wounds on average or something. It's just speaking of drowning you in 2-ups, like
yeah,
right?
that'll do it.
So you get 2 of those alpha strikes instead of 1, which is what my list would do. But I have 2 big melee teams as well, which are super threatening. But
yeah, I mean it's good, isn't it? Like having the threat of it is amazing because then it makes people deploy KG and deploy in that because if they know what's going on, like they won't let you do it, right? Like they'll be hiding. And sometimes that's great because that gives you the board early game. Other times, of course, if they don't deploy KG and they kind of present you with, the great target, of course, just go for it and just table them, like whatever it is. But I think it might get tricky because when you shoot 20 Indomitor vets forward, you can't really take advantage of both at the same time. Like you can fully buff one, and sometimes doing it could probably put pressure on people enough to make them fold and just keep them locked in, and that's fine. But other times you might have one that shoots really well, another one that hits like a wet noodle, and then your opponent's now got your whole army in front of their army and has like a plethora of targets, and they can bait out a transhuman here and then nuke that, or bait out the unyielding here and nuke that. So
yeah,
it's tricky. I mean, like I said, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm probably I could be huff and smoke right here, and it could be amazing, but my gut tells me single Indomitor, then 40 Proteus Vets or Spectrus Vets or whatever.
I love that you went that way though, because like this is what's so cool about talking to you is as a newer player, that's all shit I didn't think about, right? Like the mental games that you have to play, even when you unknowingly are playing them, like I'm talking about right now, right? Like if I were to face you, if you were playing, Uthway or whatever, and I drop this like list on the board, that's what you're already thinking about. Is like, how can I bait out his buffs, make him spend like CP needlessly, and then I'll just ignore that thing and blow up whatever else, right? That's actually really neat.
It's without getting too crass, mate, it's like sex. You don't want to be the first one to blow your load, you want to be the one that reacts and just wins the game because someone pushed too hard into one area and committed their resources early, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's what you want to do. Yeah.
Well, so the next question is, Martin is talking about the warlord trait. I forget what it's called. You can add a warlord trait to a sergeant. What's it called?
It's like the
it's like hero of the chapter, something like that.
veteran
anyway,
of the whatever it is.
Yeah. So you could
Honored veteran
of
or
the
something?
long vigil. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
So what you do is you can the thought right now is going back to this Indomitor kill team, because there's so much of your shooting and so much of your power. How do you make them really tanky? Well, you give the sergeant artificer armor, which we've discussed this before in other streams. Like, this isn't a new warlord trait or whatever. It just is. It's decidedly better now than it ever was, because especially if you follow that in Dominator team around with an apothecary, like you're looking at a sergeant on a 2-up base, 5-up invul. You get to reduce all AP by 1. So you're probably on a 2-up, probably in cover. So to even get you to a 3-up, you need AP 3, which is rare. Like, and then you could just bring them back because they have, 4 wounds. They're going to take a lot of hits. So I think it's good. It's actually in the list that I want to talk about. Like, that is actually in my list because the choice to me in my list, actually, we'll just switch over because I am a selfish bastard. But so the choice to me has to do with where do you put that warlord trait, and to me, I really want to play around with that Spectrous kill team that has 6 infiltrators, 1 with the Helix gauntlet, and the 4 eliminators. You put the Helix gauntlet guy in with the eliminators. Now they grant the deep strike, denial bubble, and they get to ignore the first bit of damage that comes at them, which is huge now because the only way to reliably get them to fail saves is to shoot them with anti-tank weapons, which are usually high damage, right? So like a Tau railgun hitting them and doing, the one mortal wound, okay, but it didn't do the D3 plus 3, right? So my other thought is remove it from the Indomitor Sergeant and stick it on the Spectrous kill team Sergeant, which unfortunately means you won't have the Helix gauntlet with the Eliminators, but instead you'll be able to allow them to shoot and fade.
Yeah, I mean the shoot and fade's really nice. I think the last list I had, it had 5 infiltrators with a Helix and then 4 eliminators, and my 10th member was a incursor with a haywire mine, and that was nice to make the remaining cool. 5 man just an asshole to charge because they'll just cop mortals on the face. Yeah. But I think I ran, because I didn't have any Phobos characters other than that, I ran Lord of Deceit on the sergeant, which was handy. But the other, I guess, option with shoot and fade is really nice. Really, really nice. The downside is, if you're taking just a regular army that's not Army of Renown, you can just take 3 eliminators that have that with the Instigator Bolt Carbine that is cheaper. So it's a tricky toss-up, isn't it? Like that Indomitor kill team with the Sergeant, with the Warlord trait, or sorry, Relic, is incredible. It's truly incredible. So that's probably what I'd be going for right now.
Especially with an Apothecary rolling around with them. Like, it's just, there was a Black Templar list I played that had something similar to this, but with like a 8-man blob of Terminators, and they had the sergeant had an extra wound and then some other defensive buffs, and it was like impossible just to kill the sergeant, and then they just bring him back on the next turn. I'm like, it's just so frustrating.
Templars can give him -1 damage, which is massive.
That's what it,
massive. So
what it was. So
like the Apoth is amazing in that build. I mean, because of the way that like Grey Knights have dropped down in the meta classically, they might come back up. T-Suns for a bit dropped down in the meta, but that's a whole new kettle of fish. I think 1,000 Suns are incredible now. Like I played against Liam Hackett's 1,000 Suns just yesterday, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah, isn't he like one of the best 1,000 Sun players in the world as well? So
he's all right. He's all right. Don't let him hear that though. Okay. But like I played against him with a list that had like 40 Tau plasma shots, and like it did okay. Like Liam got up by a few points, but like it was way harder than I expected. So I think 1,000 Suns are a massive winner. So we might see them. But if we don't see as much, I think there's actually an argument for a librarian back in the Deathwatch list now, because stuff like Fortify with Contempt is huge. Making kill teams untargetable is massive now, because the kill teams in front of them are so durable that they'll never get through to the back ones if you just, Mantle of Shadows them. So I think Olivia's really good.
Great point. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. The other thing is it opens up on these new maps where it's a lot easier. It opens up Pierce the Veil, which is where you do the psychic action on their backline.
Yeah.
A little jump Libby there. doing that psychic action is pretty crazy now, because it's just free money in the tank, and you're going to be there anyway, and you can defend him with kill teams that are now, not just going to fold, to a
Yeah.
stiff breeze with just a bit of shooting. So I think there's a pretty good argument for you, to be perfectly honest.
So Fred is dropping a lot of like knowledge bombs in chat, one after the other, and he's like bringing up a lot of great points. He says that for his double in Dominator list, which he's no longer running now, because of NIDs, what he would do is he would put one of them into the teleportarium and bring them down turn 2. Turn 1, he would beacon up the first in Dominator team, and that way you're getting your buffs to each one, right? Like each turn.
That's cool.
So what I'm going to do is effectively that same thing, Fred, except I'm bringing ass blasters because they're cheaper. I want them to drop down and just nuke something, and then if they die, whatever, and if they stick up like around, that's great. But like my thought is, this is a 285 point unit. You can either combat squad, so only the hell blasters drop down, but you could do the same kind of thing where you're just like you target one big nasty thing, blow it away, spend your 3 CP, because if you could like pick up a Maliceptor or whatever, that would be huge. That would be worth it probably. And I think with AP, like with these changes to Armor of Contempt, and this switches into another topic as well, you almost need to decide, are you going to go all in on heavy weapons, or are you going to go the exact opposite way and ignore them entirely, stick with just damage 1, low AP, and like we said at the start, just drown your opponent in saves.
That's it. Like the Tau army I'm playing right now has gone from having like 300 AP neg 1 shots to like all burst cannons that are no AP, and like 40 plasma shots that are AP neg 4/3 damage. There is nothing in between for this exact reason.
So I mean, like, you drop down with the plasma, right? It's at -5 AP in the tactical doctrine, which we get to pick, which I think, by the way, that got so much fucking better. Right?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like you just have so much you can dictate the engagement so much more now.
Yeah, and nobody, like, everybody effectively lost 1 AP on most of their guns, but at least we get to pick exactly which ones get the bonus AP when we need it, which is huge, and I don't think is being talked about much, because when the Deathwatch supplement hit, folks were like, that's our super doctrine, that's okay, I guess. And it's like hidden power, man. It is really good if you actually use it properly. So all right, getting around to the next question. Martin is asking, with Grey Knights, do we still actually I think I skipped one, sorry. Yeah, okay. So there are 2 of the same question. One's from Carhandrus, which I probably mispronounced, and I'm sorry, and from Martin. And they're asking, so the Grey Knight meta has basically been, if it's on troops, so Terminators or Strikes, if you have a unit with the ability to cast Hammer Hand, you would take swords on them. And you would take halberds on everything else. And the reason is because that strength 6 crossover and wounding on 3s is typically better than wounding on 4s with more AP. Except if you have hammer hand and you're rerolling wounds anyway, that's great.
Yes. Has
that changed with this change? And I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. Like the ability to reroll wounds, except in to Salamanders and Valorous Heart, is still very, very good. The AP is still very, very good. But wounding on 6s, like, so every time you can shift a number, it's 16%, right? So you're gonna get through an average of 16% more wounds if you're wounding on 3s and not 4s, versus wounding 16% less but making their saves 16% worse, if that makes sense. So you just need to decide what's better for your playstyle. I still think the original way we've been doing it since 9th hit is the correct way. But I'm also not a super great player. I'm just a guy with a microphone.
It's tricky, isn't it? I think there's like a threshold now, and this is to be fair, Marines aren't 100% of the meta, so Armor of Contempt won't be 100% of the meta. So it's not
Yeah.
something you have to think about for every single game. However, because of the volume of Marine armies around in a community, if it's good, and if it's too good to be true, and if people think it's good, they're probably going to see some damn Marines. So
Yeah.
I think one thing to look at is there's a threshold of AP that matters, and there's a threshold of AP that doesn't matter. So neg 1 and neg 2 AP starts to not matter now. Neg 3 AP is nice. And then you get to this weird threshold where you were like neg 4, neg 5, where before it was like insta kill, no save, and now all of a sudden it gets a save. So that gets bumped down as well. So you get this line of like AP 1, 2 doesn't do much, AP 3, 4 does a little, or 3 does a little bit, and then AP 4, 5, it also gets hit a little bit. So but the one that kind of got untouched the most, if that makes sense, is that AP 3 to 4 band.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you want to pitch your combat at, quite frankly, because you want stuff that just kills bodies when it hits, or even at shooting, you want stuff that blows through bodies as it hits.
Okay,
all the stuff when you look at a Terminator kill, like a Terminator unit in cover with fucking storm shields, feel no pains, whatever, you look at that, don't shoot your plasma at that. Just get the bolters in, make them fail the 2-ups, just pepper that in, and then you see the Marines out of cover with no inverts, just boom, plasma. I hope this picks that up.
Yeah.
So you've got to really pick and choose, what you do, and you'll know the second you put something wrong in, you'll freaking know now. Like you put 5 plasma guns into that Termi unit, they're like 3 up, 3 up, 4 up, 3 up. Like it's just
you're gonna feel
they're
bad.
just gonna pass everything. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So there you go. AP3 is still really, really good, but as Dineeth said, Marines, like power armor won't be all of the meta. We're still going to see lots of Quins. We're probably not going to see very many Custodes anymore. You're going to see tons of Nids. Because like didn't Custodes, like, man, they got hit hard. Like,
oh, they're done, man. Like they're actually unplayable at the top level now, unfortunately, which is really
like
sad.
So crazy how hard they got hit. I just thought they'd change those stratagems to like once per game, but they made it like once per game and infantry only, and this and eesh.
The rerolls being turned off once a game, and like the switching of like the carders and like chapters being changed, that's a huge hit. Let alone the biggest thing that was doing them is winning the primary, and the fact that only their troops can get obsec now it's pretty average. Like their characters just can't run around late game and steal primary. That's a big kicker for like the scoreboard. Like that's on its own is like 10 to 15 points a game. Just characters running around and stealing obsec. So that being gone is huge. Yeah. So it's just so many nails in the coffin. Like they're and Marines getting this buff. It's like why would you play Custodes when Marines are defensively the same now?
Yeah. Poor Custodes. Like I was
pour one out.
I was I don't play that army, but when they hit and they hit hard and they completely upset the meta, I can't say I was complaining because at the time it'd been 9 months of Drukhari, and then like a little bit of Admech and Orcs, and then Drukhari. God damn it.
Yeah,
I was just glad to hear
Orcs just peaked out a little bit, and then it was still just Drukhari.
I was just glad to hear a name that wasn't Drukhari. So all right, so JP's asking, do you think the Armor of Contempt will make Spectrus with 4 to 5 las, fusils more interesting. So this goes back to what we were saying earlier, where it's like, do you want to go all in on 1 damage, or do you want to go all in on AT, or at least have a combination of both, where you want high AP on one side, but you want mass shots or hits on the other side. So I've been meaning to play with Laz Fusel Eliminators for a long time, since they got buffed like 6 months ago, 9 months ago. It's just like there were other things I wanted to try more, and I only get in 3 to 4 games a month, maybe if I'm lucky. So just didn't have the opportunity. So what do you think about the Laz Fusel?
Yeah, I think Laz Fusels are great because it comes on a body that's annoying to kill. And like I'm all for, like I would rather have a unit that does medium damage that's annoying for my opponent to interact with than a unit that does high damage that instantly dies, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like because the eliminators with fusels probably have a longer chance of staying in the game for 4 to 5 turns compared to like just 3 eradicators on their own. So like I like them. I like them sitting in the backfield, especially if the terrain in an area allows for, you know, some lanes of fire. I know some tables like the WTC setup are very dense and you don't really have a lane of fire from one side of the table
Yeah,
to the other.
that's a good
In
point.
those missions, look, you probably want to look at something else to do your high damage. But you know, if you want something to camp out the back to sit there and shoot and pepper and just be a pain in the ass to deal with,
Yeah.
they have not been in a better position than they are now.
And somebody mentioned that, I think it was in the Deathwatch Discord, the Laz Fusel Eliminators are basically permanently overcharged heavy Hellblasters, but they don't kill themselves.
Yeah, I think the big one with them, the AP neg 3 is great. The big one is the 3 damage. The
Exactly.
3 damage gets them over the cliff of, you know, neg 1 damages, and it takes out, it like starts one hitting like Thousand Suns Terminators and opposition Terminators, starts doing decent damage to like tower battle suits and transports and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really nice. Yeah, it's just nothing that people can't really avoid it. Like if they've got their beat on an objective, you kind of expect that whatever walks out onto that objective just gets slammed. So you can't really, you know, ignore it, which is great.
Yeah. All right. Do Martin's talking about snipers in cover with the Helix, which we already talked about at the beginning. Very good, especially in Deathwatch. Just like stupid good. I'm excited to try it out next weekend at an RTT. I am bringing a list with that combo in it, and I am stoked to see how it'll do. Dalton Peters says this is the video they've been waiting for, which thank you very much. That's nice. And then he asks, how do we feel about just removing shields entirely? And this kind of ties in with a point Fred brings up later, where he's asking how we feel about Storm Shield power or Thunder Hammer Terminators in our kill teams when we could just drop them, bring standard vets, and put heavy Thunder Hammers on them instead. And it's like you're gonna lose a little durability and you're gonna gain a whole bunch of offensive potential.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think there's still going to be cases where people can ignore cover and hit you with neg 0. So you're going to want to have the option to take 2-up saves. And the question will be, do you want to take those 2-up saves on that Terminator that's got the Storm Shield? Or do you want to take it on, you know, someone else that's got a 2-up, or, you know, like a body that has a 2-up? And that discussion is interesting. I think the cheap combat shield on the Sergeant is still nice for that little ablative idiot that takes the 2-up. And also, if there's like a big D3+3 damage coming in that you don't really want to risk a 5-up on a Terminator or a 4-up on a Storm Shield, just risk the 5-up on the Sergeant, because then when he dies, he's like a 20-point dude, or you
yeah,
don't care about. So I think there's still merit in mixing a few Storm Shields in. I think dropping them completely makes you vulnerable to people that pick the meta against the basic Marine. So like people like myself, who are packing heaps and heaps of Tau Plasma, that's AP neg 4, 3 damage ignoring cover, still looks at a Marine unit and goes, take a bunch of 6-ups, you know?
Yeah.
At least if you've got a few Storm Shield mixed in your little plebs, like your little 2-wound Marines, that's stuff that when you fail that 4-up, well, first off, you have a 4-up that, you know, will half my damage coming in to
Yeah.
start with. And when the stuff dies, it's not the important stuff like the Terminators, you know, and it's, you've got them for when the 2-up saves are required, or, you know, when you've got your Feel No Pains cranking and they hit you with 10 saves at 2-up, or you're probably not killing a Terminator. And then you res back the little idiot. So, like, I think the mix is good, and the best generals will take advantage of being able to, you know, mix and match the kill teams. The only downside is it'll get more confusing to manage. It's a little bit less cookie cutter now with the kill teams. Yeah,
That's a whole lot of amazing information, because like one of the things about this game is there's like little metas within the meta, and like picking, especially for Deathwatch, our stuff in a kill team has very different defensive profiles. Like the bike is very different than the Vanguard vet, and the veteran with the Storm Shield is very different than the Terminator with one.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, there's a little meta where like now instead of just, oh, that's one unit of like Terminators, all Terminators, now I have to really pick and choose what's gonna take wounds, you know.
Yeah.
So great points. I love the idea of a whole bunch of Heavy Thunderhammer veterans, though, because I just love the fact that the Heavy Thunderhammer exists. It's so silly. Yeah. It's like you can one-shot Death Shroud Terminators with that bad boy. That's amazing.
Well, you don't want to be. I think it's great having like a Black Shield or someone with a single Heavy Thundy, you know, chilling out, because then you roll up like. Like, let's say you have a tower player, right? They can't really come near you because that Heavy Thundy could just hit them for 6. Like, it could just destroy them. And you could just peel away all the drones, get the defensives out, charge it, and then the Heavy Thunderhammer just goes straight through the whole unit. So you can, you know, imagine how good that is. Great for, like you said, anyone that can neg 1 damage that's 3 wounds. So like your Death Shroud Termies and things like that. Anything with a Feel No Pain, it just gives no fucks. So, look, I think the Heavy Thundy got a lot of stock, because you can keep that lad alive.
Yeah. That's pretty great, man. And then the other half of Dalton's question has to do with dropping shields, and so it's like part of that question, but asking about power swords versus lightning claws. They're the same price. They're 3 points per model per, you know, one. We are in the unique position where we can take 2 on everything we really want. And that's, I mean, I guess that's up to your playstyle, man. Like, for me, going back to Dineeth's last point, my melee teams have a couple vets with a chainsword and a storm shield, and they're there to die as that melee team runs up the board to get melee. So I don't want to put fancy weapons on the guys that I have already designated will die. So that's how I'm gonna run it. But we said earlier, you know, there is some merit in maybe if you have 3 Terminators in your kill teams, if you're running out of points for like little tech choices, you can always make one of them double lightning claws, which is not bad, and it's cheaper than the thunder hammer and the storm shield. So I mean, we all know the last like 15 points are the most like hard to kind of like shoehorn in there. So it's up to you basically. And then let's see, JP Fred's just crushing it. Colin is asking more about Thousand Suns. He says that they're not sure how much of an advantage Thousand Suns gets from this update. And I mean, it's the same advantage everyone else gets, with the caveat that like their Terminators can pop the stratagem if they take 1 damage to get +1 to their armor save again, which is kind of like the Gravis strat. So we already talked about this for Gravis, but I guess the same thing applies. But how much like other than shuriken cannons, how many like more than AP2 like 1 damage stuff is out there? I guess there's the assault ass blasters not overcharged have 1 damage and AP4, but I can't really think of a whole lot where
I mean,
like
it's really just like like dedicated combat units, like Power Sword Marines coming in and Assault Doctrine,
yeah, that's
things
true.
like that. Like the
That's
Necron
true.
combat units are pushing neg 3, neg 4, but they're not always 1 damage. So that's tricky. I guess Rust Stalkers for AdMech. I don't know if we'll see them a lot. Um,
Yeah,
what
I guess
else
I
is-
was thinking
It's really just
specifically
shooting.
shooting. Yeah, like
Shuriken Deserts. Yeah, there's not many other examples, I guess.
yeah, I can't really think
Yeah.
of a lot. Because things like I mean, ignoring one whole AAP for things like the new what's the Beetle launcher for the Termagants? Don't remember what it's called. The
Oh, like the Death Spitter.
yeah, I honestly just don't remember what
Yeah.
it's called, but it's strength 5 minus 1 AP now, instead of strength 4 no AP.
Yes,
But it's
that's it, yeah.
effectively no AP now. It's kind of like taking hits from a heavy bolter, AP1.
Yes.
You're like, I don't care anymore that it's AP1. Still get a 3-up or whatever. So
Yeah. I think what else would be crazy?
I don't know.
It's
I think Thousand Suns, it's very good for them. They were already, especially with like Liam Hackett's crazy Cult of Time build where you can like bring back what D3 Terminators every turn or something. Just it's gonna make them even harder to kill, and they were already hard to kill. And then they're just gonna you'll see them using their CP less to do that stratagem. Or fewer times.
Against like Thousand Suns Terminators, it's either AP neg 4 or nothing at all. Just bring nothing. Just bring bulk AP nothing, and just push that through.
Just bring Storm Bolters.
Yeah, because it's AP neg 1 and 2 is so wasted now. It's not funny because if it's 1 damage, they get +2 save. Like they get effectively +2 save. So, yeah, I think that's huge. I think the other thing I was thinking about before is what was it? I just lost it. Oh yeah, so the other thing that was causing a lot of issues with high AP shooting at 1 damage was Tau breaches. But now with the change to Farsight Enclaves and to Montcar, you won't really see them push more than AP3. So it's a non-issue now.
Yeah. That's a good transition, actually. You want to talk about the Montcar stuff lately? So they lost the extra -1 AP in Montcar, right? Is that the...
Yeah, look, not a massive deal. I mean, they still got the reroll ones. It just made it less oppressive for the opponent. Like, I feel with Tau, you're still going to kill what you want to kill if you put the resources in. Like, being real, you've got the guns to do it. It just means that they shifted away from let's take all these airbursts and burst cannons and flamers and breaches that just smash you at short range. Let's go for something that is a bit more safe. That still has a high AP that can pepper out. So look, I don't think that's a massive deal. I think the indirect change is what smashed Tau the most. But that's fine. I mean, the indirect probably needed to go. It was pretty oppressive. You could table entire armies without sticking your head out, which is pretty bad.
I know, and
it's pretty bad for the game.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't mind if I get outmaneuvered or whatever, or like dice spike and I lose. That's fine. When like I don't get to interact with my opponent almost at all, that's not fun. Like, it's just
and it got to a point where you could spend the first 3 turns just spraying people with indirect, and they haven't hit you yet, and then all of a sudden they've got half an army, you've got a full army, and then you're just like, cool, I'll walk forward and win. Like, it got to that stage.
It was pretty nuts. And then the whole like stacking charge,
yeah, look, that was pretty toxic. I mean, it's still the extra neg 2 to the charge is still massive. Like,
it's great, absolutely. Yeah,
you effectively can't charge Tau out a deep strike if they're playing reasonably.
Yeah.
And you're not rolling 11s. So like it's pretty good still. And the fact that there's two ways to get it, like you can get it from a battle suit on one flank, and then from like a photon grenade unit on the other flank, it's
Yeah.
pretty obnoxious still.
Yeah, that's
I
two
think,
different strats. So like, yeah, that's a lot
yeah,
of, you can really cover your bases that way.
yeah, like I think Tau will be fine, to be honest. I mean, Harley's got changed a lot. Their Void Weavers got dunked, and the players. I think the players will now be the mainstay. The troops.
Yeah. So
Custodes is dead in the water, but Tau is fine.
you don't, I mean, you don't think I guess the broadside change will mess with lists that bring 9 of them, but if you bring 3, it's still very good, right? Like,
I mean, the broadside change, like broadsides, in my view, yes, they'll kill anything that they see, but broadsides are an amazing carriage for smart missiles, which was the indirect.
mm-hmm,
And now that the indirect is nerfed, well, would you take them anyway? Because the direct
yeah.
shooting on other units is just better. So I don't know. Like for one broadside, you get 2 crisis suits that pack 4
Yeah.
plasma
I
versus the 2
was,
rail shots, and yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, I bet we'll just see more crisis teams, whatever flavor you want. So,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
okay,
exactly.
that's too bad. I like the model, especially the
Yeah,
one with all the missiles, just like shitloads of missiles.
yeah,
Looks hilarious. All right, so yeah, so Quinn's actually great transition. I got dunked on. There's a
yeah.
TTS game. If anybody wants to waste 2 hours of your life, you can watch me die horribly with my Grey Knights to 9 Void Weavers, which were
Oh my goodness, incredible.
bonkers. I still think we're gonna see at least 3 in every list. Like, yeah, they went up, but they're also still very, very, very good. Um, like that's so good.
Mm.
I mean, what else did they lose? They lost. They can't go up to 9-inch aura, right? With the relic, or they still can do
Yeah, it
that.
was still the 9-inch change. They can only do it on one unit, I believe, which is big.
Oh, okay.
Um, and what else? I think they clarified some things with the Shadow Seer's spells and abilities. So,
Actually,
I
I can
mean, Harley's
switch
the
over.
biggest
Have a
change.
look.
Yeah, the biggest change I think was a Void Weaver points change. That was pretty crushing.
Space Marines, Harlequins. Yeah, it's on the
Yeah.
side that is unfortunately not fully in
Mhm.
um, view. But so this isn't a Harlequins channel. So just to talk about what we mentioned in depth, it used to be that one of the HQs could take a relic that would increase their auras by 3 inches up to a 9-inch bubble. And
Oh
then
yes, sorry.
anything in that 9-inch bubble was counted with whatever warlord trait or other combo that they brought. It
Mhm.
was able to be counted as being 6 inches further away than it physically is on the board. So if you have a
Yes.
24-inch gun, your range is effectively now 18. So
Mhm.
they used to run this HQ in the middle of the army, and that 9-inch bubble was huge and effectively give the whole army that buff, which for anybody who shoots a lot was quite obnoxious. But they
Yes.
have changed that now so that they can only target one unit with that buff. So just to actually explain that, because otherwise it
Yes.
might have been confusing.
Yeah. The one thing I'll add, I guess, with Harleys is like Dark Harlequins are really good, like really well picked for the meta now. Because what Harleys, when they pick their chapter or their Seder, they can go light, dark, or twilight.
Mhm.
Dark, what it gives them is extra AP on their weapons, so everything goes to AP 3 2 damage, which is particularly good at killing Marines now.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Especially because it's a combat weapon, so you're on 5 ups to that. They have abilities to ignore invos and things. They have, the biggest thing with Dark is they have abilities to come in and ignore Overwatch. But their chapter tactic is, if they die in combat and haven't fought, they get to fight on death. So you can just multi-charge stuff, not care about fights last or
Yeah.
interrupts and things like that, and just get yourself killed, but kill, double the amount of Marines in the process. So
Yeah.
I rate it. It's good.
Pretty good. Yeah. Fight last doesn't matter if you get to fight anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
Ask Catstill and Crow.
Yeah.
uh, all right. Well, what else do we have in here? I'll switch back to the interview. Scene here, Thousand Suns. Las Fusels are OP, great in the Spectre's kill team. I still need to play with them. I really, really want to, but Fred is saying that for Deathwatch, he's looking at the chief librarian with the Soul Fortress relic to ignore Nid's negative to casts. It's more reliable with the +1 from the chief apothecary, and then the +2 denies the +1 is nice as well. Is that because of the psychic hood, and that's only at half range, so at 12 inches for the +1 to deny? But yeah, it's still
Yeah.
good.
I think the Nid's powers are probably going off if they want to go off, just because they have the option to 3d6 cast and pick the highest. And also because Zoanthropes just add like 5 to the psychic test, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, what's the...
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I haven't looked into it very much, if I'm completely honest, but I've heard that there's some Tyrannid unit out there right now. I think it's the Maliceptor that rivals, that does way more mortal wounds in a psychic phase than the
Yeah.
Grey Knights, like mortal wounds Libby, right?
Yeah, so the Maliceptor has ways to cast up to 3 powers and do a psychic action, and every time it casts on a value more than 7, which is very doable, it does 3 mortal wounds to the closest target. There's a few funny interactions there. So, like I've played against a Tyrannid list that did a total of 36 mortal wounds in a single psychic phase, and then continued to do 12 more in the shooting phase. Like that's like nearly 50 mortals in a turn. Like that's a thing. So like there's
Black
ways
Templar
that
chapter tactic go.
yeah, that the funniest thing here, man, is that the 3 mortal wounds that the Maliceptor spits out when it casts a power is not a psychic power. So if you think, some armies might stick a Culexus Assassin in front of their army, the Maliceptor drops in, casts some powers to do some targeted smites and actions. The Culexus just gets hit with 3 mortals every
Just
time and dies.
Yeah. Boo.
Massive.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the Tyrannid Psychic Onslaught's huge. I'm personally, as Marines, not really teching a single character to stop that. I would just go, cool, well, this is probably the turn they're going to hit me. I guess I'll be Black Templars for a battle round. So
well,
that's the way I'd manage it.
Yeah, Fred is an amazing player. If anybody here is interested, I have a great interview with him from months ago, so it's a bit stale now, but he's a great guy. And if he's worried about NIDS, we all ought to be. It's like how if you've played anything in the last month, you've probably been like, how does this list play into Quins? Because you had to ask that question, right? So you kind of have to ask too, like, how does this play into NIDS now?
You gotta have a gut check to make sure you can handle it, right?
Yeah. 50 mortal wounds though, and that's just like, that was reliable every turn. It's not like he spiked and did 50.
Look, I think that might have been a spike, to be honest, but the reliable is like 25, which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I thought the mortal wounds librarian, but like bursting up to what? They can do 16 or something. Thought that was pretty gnarly. But 20.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's army wide, not from one model, but 25 is pretty strong.
Alone does like that. Maliceptor alone can do like 20, like 15-ish to 20. So it's pretty psycho. Yeah.
Oh man, it's crazy. All right, let's see. Proteus kill teams are the best in Deathwatch from Damned Legion. Yeah, I agree. I know that they got poo-pooed on really hard when the supplement came out, but then you realize how good versatility is, because that's one of the things the Fortis kill team and the Indomitor kill team just cannot bring. Like, it's unfortunate that you can't make a Fortis kill team that's melee unless you just want 10 assault intercessors, which aren't that great. I wish that we could take 5 assault intercessors as the base.
Yes.
You can't even take 10 assault intercessors.
I think you just take 5. Yeah, it's pretty average.
Just 5. Ugh. Because you still have to to take the 5 normal ones or the normal intercessors, and then you can yeah. I wish we could have done 5 base assault and then take Blade Guard. That would have been nice.
Oh man,
Yeah,
could you imagine?
That'd be so
Could you
good.
imagine if we could take Blade Guard?
Yeah, right. Or suppressors. I thought that would be neat too, but we don't get that option.
Suppressors and the Spectrus would be cool. Yeah, but look, I've thought since for a while, and things have changed. I haven't been playing Deathwatch recently, but I reckon Proteus kill teams are the way to go. I think they're one of the most versatile. They got the most options. And I think they actually are the biggest winners from this change.
Yeah,
like they were the ones that got the most out of it. So I'm really keen to see how they run.
Me too, man. Me too. 1 week, and we'll see.
Yeah.
So let's see what else. T-Sun strat reduces incoming damage by 1, which will trigger all is dust if D2 becomes D1. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I got that strat mixed up. The thing is, as we were just discussing, you're either gonna drown them in 1 damage, or you're gonna drown them, which would trigger all this dust, or you're gonna drown them in like thunder hammers, which are 3 damage, which they could reduce to 2, but that won't trigger all his dust. So
yeah, I guess the big thing to note is the reducing to 2 is only in shooting. So damage 3 in combat is huge. If you can hit them with chain fists or whatever is damage 2, or damage 3, not chain fists, like thunder hammers and stuff.
Yeah.
You can really start doing the work. It's annoying when you hit them at range with damage 3 because they can bring it down. There are ways to bait it out, of course, but then nothing says fuck you like a heavy thunder hammer. So
that's true. I love that we can even master craft those. Only 1.
Man. Yeah.
So you can have a 5 damage thunder hammer. That's great. I think that's all the questions so far. I want to remind everyone that if you have questions, please dunk them into chat. But I know you, Dineeth, wanted to talk specifically about the Deathwatch AOR and the changes to this. So let's slide right into that topic.
Of course, yeah. So I guess the big one we've already talked about. The Armor of Contempt is the big one, and how that affects what Deathwatch can do. And we kind of covered it right at the start, is that Deathwatch have gotten, they've gotten defensive bonuses when they're staying at home and they're staying safe and protecting their objectives. But the big thing is they've gotten a defensive bonus when they've run into an enemy deployment zone and pushed their way in, gotten an objective or whatever. It's going to be so much harder to dig them out. So situations that now are played out with the 9th edition missions are, the primary fight is a bit less because you can offset the primary by doing secondary actions and things like that. So you still need, number one, you still need volume of troops around the map. You still need, a lot of little units, which is why I'm leaning towards more Proteus teams, heading towards 50 vets. OBSEC is amazing because OBSEC and troops allows you to finish some of these mission-specific actions earlier, like at the end of your turn.
Yeah.
There's a mission called Tear Down the Icons where you can plant bombs. That bomb plant finishes at the end of your turn if you're OBSEC, but only in your command phase if you're not OBSEC. Yeah. There are missions where
command phase, which
it's
sucks
huge
because that means that's a whole turn for the enemy to try to kill that unit.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there are other objectives that have sticky objectives, but only for OBSEC. So you can, if your objective secured on that point, you can move away and it's yours, which is amazing. Deathwatch do that really, really well. So there's a lot of things going well for us. The downsides were always the durability into the new things. This has changed it all. So essentially the way I would think about it is that the Marines will feel against most things until they adapt like they did when our Codex came out. It'll feel a bit more relevant against that new stuff. Downside is, people will change and mix it up and things like that. So you've got to have the ability in the Army of Renown to present inefficient targets at all times. So if your opponent rolls up with heaps of shots that are strength 10, neg 4, 3 damage, I don't know, like a Tau Storm Surge looks at an Indominate kill team, it'll pick up a couple, like, let's be real.
Yeah.
If that Storm Surge looks at a Proteus kill team, that's a really annoying target for the Storm Surge because you have way more things like storm shields and things that you can make that gun inefficient. On the same note, if you have 100 burst cannon shots that looks at a Gravis kill team, they'll eventually wade through it. 100 burst cannon shots that go to a Proteus kill team, they're actually not getting the wounds per point or the points per damage, whatever you call it, value out of the Proteus as they are from the Gravis. So there's some merit to having that Proteus team. So when I'm looking at the Army of Renown, I think the Proteus team's biggest winner. Get as many as those little idiots as you can in your list. And I never really considered optimized priority the shoot and do action secondary for a lot of the time I was playing it. But the way the Nachman missions are going, I think optimized priority could be really good because you don't
Yeah,
really want a 100-point
it's
kill team standing around doing actions and not shooting.
it's in my list actually.
Yeah.
Like, cause I played a bat rep on the One Last Blade channel, and I brought optimized priority, and it was very reliable. It
Yeah.
like, let me do all kinds of, and it's not even target one unit. It's a bubble of 6 inches. So, if you stick that on your bike chaplain, you turn that
Yeah.
base sideways. You got like a huge bubble,
Yeah.
or a huge
Massive.
oval, I guess, but whatever.
Massive.
Yeah, it's really good. Fred is saying Proteus team 5 vets, 4 storm shield bolters, 1 sarge with heavy thunder hammer, black shield with thunder hammer chain sword, 2 van vets with jump and heavies, 1 terminator with thunder hammer, storm shield, bike chap, and a bike guy with a chain sword. 319 points before specialism. That's 10 heavy thunder hammer attacks and 8 thunder hammers on the charge. 10 heavy thunder hammers. That sounds pretty legit. I'm into it.
That's that's pretty terrifying.
It's
I think
significant. Yeah.
I think the combat threat with these units is going to be crazy. The main thing is just still having that delivery system to make sure that you've got ways to get into combat and make sure you have ways to mitigate the damage on the way in.
I mean that's
that'll be huge.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, folks who haven't played against Deathwatch, and I talked to Michael Costello or with Michael Costello about this as well, is like those Proteus kill teams with the bike and the Van Vet can move like 11 inches.
Yeah.
That's before. So all those fatty Terminators get stuck back there, but that's fine because you're probably rolling up with the Primaris Chaplain on bike.
Mm-hmm.
You give them the +2 to charge aura, and then the 6-inch pile in and consolidate, which for those Terminators in the back is enormous. So, like, I think I did the math, and an average, I think you can move, like, if you got it off nearly perfectly, you can move, like, 29 or 30 inches with one team. Like, if you move, advance, charge, pile in, consolidate, if you take the average from all of that, it's, like, 30 inches of movement, which is bonkers. I mean, obviously, that's not going to happen in nearly any game, but that's a potentially huge amount of threat that you can project. And if you're smart, you charge the ruins and stuff so they can't overwatch you, right? Like, because that's a huge thing. Things like a greater brass scorpion with just a shitload of flamers or whatever is just the most terrifying thing to think about.
Yeah.
But you can mitigate some of that by playing smart.
Yeah. No, I rate
smart.
that, man.
Yeah.
I think it's the power is it almost feels like every Marine now is a Terminator in terms of this change. So you can kind of treat it like that, and your opponents will have to treat your Marines like that. So that's given because like, for example, Michael Costello, I would say Michael Costello is probably the best Deathwatch player in the world right now. Like, he's absolutely killing it.
Well, he definitely was in the IETC last year.
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure. And I've listened to him on your show, and the way he talks about Deathwatch is it's clinical, the stuff that he has, and
No,
I've picked up stuff from what he says, so he's really knowledgeable, and he's been kicking butt with the Army of Renown. But the one thing I found when I picked up the Army of Renown is it couldn't trade as well because it didn't have the crutch of the dreadnoughts, and it was just spending a bit too many points on specialisms. And now
yeah.
that things are more durable, this is awesome. This is really, really good.
The specialism tax was particularly hard to swallow because even the cheapest ones are almost an entire veteran. The middle of the road ones are an entire veteran, and then the really good ones like Malleus and stuff are all almost a Terminator.
Yeah, like the
So
30-point ones, it's like you got to try hard to avoid them.
Yeah. And especially when you take into account the fact that an Aquila specialism kill team in the AOR can target anything with specialism extremists, and the other ones have to specifically target only what their specialism is against. That actually makes Aquila even better, and Aquila was already the best.
Yes, yeah. Like you're doubling down on it. Probably Aquila Dominatus, like realistically.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you got the points, you could throw in like
Venator or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's fast attack out there that's super scary? I mean, there's like Hellions. I don't think we'll see Custodes much at all, but their bikes were really scary.
Yeah, I guess you won't see Custode bikes as much. Fast attack and Nids are body, and not really. It's really just elites and stuff that will really annoy you.
Martin says he's gotta go. I'll see you later, man. Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, I was actually let's shift this slightly. So relics with Tau in the game, with the Custode bikes, with flying troops and hive tyrants, and I mean, I don't think we'll see them anymore. But what was the big nasty flyer that Nids were bringing with Crusher? What the hell is that thing called? Harridan.
Harridan.
I was thinking about shoehorning in the Vorkan pattern Auspicator again, because there's a ton of stuff out there with fly, and getting +1 to hit it is not bad, right? Like Sanguinary Guard,
Yeah, I am actually, like, I've loved the Vorkan pattern Auspicator. I've had it in so many lists when, like, Drakari and Jump Pack Marines were big. I am probably leaning against it. It's still okay if you have the option to take it. I think the tome is nice now. The tome is coming back into fashion because we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. The spamming Thousand Suns Terminators, the spamming Death Guard Terminators. We'll see Nid spamming Zoanthropes. You really want to put them down quickly. So I think the tome gets a bit more value now because of the key threat units that threaten you. If a Tau player puts 10 Crisis battle suits out in front of you, then look, that's when you pop tome and just spray them all down and charge them and kill them. I think that gets better. I think the Beacon Angelus is a no-brainer. Like that's my first pick of relics for the Army of Renown, just because there's so much infantry, and you've got so many good vessels for it, either a bike captain or a bike chaplain. Yeah.
I wish the Beacon could be used more than once. But I mean, even just once, it's so goddamn good. Like, and it's really fun. Like, it's a relic that changes. It's not just like, I mean, not to like crap on Tau, but like a relic to like, or a warlord trait to reroll all hits and all wounds is amazing. Like, that's never not good, right? But like, the Beacon actually changes the way you'll even build a list, because you're like, all right, I'm going to like a slow team hiding in the back corner of my board. I don't give a shit. Their plan is I'm going to move up with this really fast unit, plop them down, midway up the board, and then go ham. So, I mean, that completely changes how you're going to build whatever that kill team is. And I think that's really fun. And movement shenanigans are just great anyway.
And all of a sudden it means that your opponent has to count for it. Because your opponent's just got to know that, hey, by the way, I can advance this bike 20 inches. You love when I say that, hey. I'm like, hey, by the way, you can advance 20 inches and drop a 400-point kill team at your doorstep. Like, you've got to screen out. And if they're screening out, what it does is it gives stuff for your other little kill teams to tag and charge,
Yep,
and then you're actually
exactly.
getting into the spots you want to get to. So it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Yeah, I'm excited to play with this new Spectrus kill team because, like you said, I think it's if you combat squad the Spectrus kill team, you can spread them out and get like a 24-inch denial bubble from or I don't know if it's 24. It might be more.
Oh, it's the
Um,
whole mid board. Yeah,
yeah,
you can easily block the whole mid board in certain maps. Yeah.
which like as a Grey Knights player is so goddamn frustrating. But also like that's gonna counter Gene Stealers real hard too, because they have some really fast moving units, but they really want to
Yeah.
do the like come out of deep strike 8 inches away for a charge. Like they want to do
Mm.
all that stuff, and if you are forcing them to be more than 12 away where they can't charge, like they cannot even legally declare a charge.
Yeah. I
Because they're
think
12 point like 1 inches or whatever.
yeah. I think that the big thing is because Tau Indirect got hit so hard. I think Gene Stealer cults were the biggest winner of that.
Yeah.
So Gene Stealer cults now all of a sudden can just start trading. Like custodes are gone. Marines are up, and what kills Marines? Oh, Drakari and GSC. I guess they kill
Yeah.
Marines really well. So
-3 AP, man.
those yeah, and just like mortal wounds when they hit you, it's like, oh, take 6 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So they do so well. So they're getting a lot of a lot of stock increases because the meta's changing.
Yeah.
And their big competitor Tau, the Tau's still okay into them, but the big weapon, the indirect, that can interact with them from turn one, where the GSC doesn't want to interact with you. The GSC wants to like
Yeah.
slowly pace the game and
Yep.
then get you off balance and then push you really hard. The Tau can't pressure that early. So I think they're going to be, they're going to be around. You're going to see probably going to see some top players running GSC, man. I'm excited. So
Like
it's something to think
Alex
about.
McDougal.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm sure Alex and a bunch of the others are excited. So I think the Spectrus team is going to be money in that game.
Yeah.
It's gonna save your bum. Yeah.
And then when you combine that with the fact that the Spectrus, at least the way I'm gonna run them, is with the bolt sniper rifles,
Mhm.
they can't put their guys out in the open,
Yeah.
And can you? I mean, you can do auspex, with the limiters, right? Because it says bolt
Yeah.
weapons.
Yeah. It's infantry. Yeah. So you
So
can do it with their
there's
frag rounds, which is huge.
that GSC, that like 4-armed gunslinger guy with the stupid hat. Like, oh man, I can't wait to he pops up and then I just shoot him.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
He's so
That guy is such a bastard because he has a rule that he can pop out from the shadows, shoot, and then move. And he's
yeah,
one of the
and
few
then
units that can do
move.
that.
Yeah, so he can
And he
like
can,
pop up, shoot you off of an objective, and then go grab it.
yeah,
So
or
frustrating.
pop up, shoot, and then move next to a transport, get in the transport. Insane.
Oh yeah, that's cool too.
So
I
yeah,
didn't think about that. That's hilarious. All right, we have a question from Seth. Where do you think the Deathwatch Army of Renown falls on the tier list of Marine factions now? Piloted by
Marine factions.
Michael Costello, for Space Marines specifically, so ignoring like Grey Knights. I mean, Black Templar are going to be even better than they ever were. Salamanders are going to be super good, and I think Deathwatch AOR are the next one that just wins out. The other chapters, like Imperial Fists, will still be the worst Space Marine chapter. They're better because of this buff, but they're still not good relative. Like when everything moves up one one tier, right? Or one power level, whatever. The things that are below are still gonna still be below, right?
Yeah.
So I think the tier list doesn't change a whole lot, except Sallies are gonna go way up because now you can't wound them. You can't re-roll wounds. Dark Angels got better, but then again, Dark Angels still have the problems that they had before, which is mass 1 damage shots, low AP, and the mortal wounds. They're still, yeah. So I mean, I think it bumped us up, but a lot of that has to do with the changes to salamanders, where because Deathwatch can switch into salamanders, they're basically salamanders light.
Yeah.
So
I think the Deathwatch and Templars are probably the biggest winners. I think the other army that I'm terrified and like truly terrified about is a Blood Angels army with 30 Sangard. Like I don't know what kills 30 Sangard right now. It's terrifying because they get +1 save and then they want to hit in combat. So like you don't have enough volume to clear them in shooting. You can't really engage them because then egg want to hit and they can 6-inch heroic and they've got reactive strats and things like that.
Now that weird armor that they have that like shows off their abs makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that weird armor that was a 2-up but wasn't a storm shield for some weird reason that everyone's like, oh, where's your invo? Oh. Now it's actually good. It's actually great.
Now they effectively are Terminators, except they're super fucking fast and they hit like a ton of bricks. Yeah.
If they're in cover and they get hit with neg 4, they're on a 4-up save. So like they're just not dying. And yeah, so I think that BA list is pretty crazy with if you got the full 30 Sangard. It's off its chops. I'd like to see the Sally list being played. I'm not super convinced that Dark Angels or Sallies will jump up that high just because their playstyle shoehorns them into a certain way that doesn't function as well on 9th missions. Like Dark Angels armies, at least when we look at them in a team composition point of view.
Oh, for teams,
they're not well, even in singles. I mean, against any matchup, they're not there to win by a lot. They're there to lose by a little, just the way they play the game. Because people can just score around them, and if you hit a flank at the right time, the Dark Angels army collapses. It's more of like holding out how long you can before you lose. Gotcha. Same with like the Necron horde. It just sits there and kind of loses by a little. So I'm not convinced that those armies will get a massive bump like Deathwatch, Templars, Blood Angels did. But I'd be keen to see it. But yeah, I think Deathwatch, Black Templars, and the scary Blood Angels list.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the meta really shakes out. I mean, I think the Nids are rising. They are going to be the next S plus army. I think they're going to just be a damned menace. I don't think we'll feel. I mean, it feels bad to get hit by 50 mortal wounds, obviously, but like it'll feel less bad than being shot 100 times from out of line of sight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the mortal wound still feels pretty average, but yeah.
So I got a message. I'm gonna switch to the Grey Knights here. I got a message from Stuart Trainer yesterday.
Hey, Stewie.
Yeah, and Stuart, great guy. I love him. We talk like every week. He's like, so I was a Renaissance man and my Grey Knights list got so good. Because he was the one running almost entirely power armor and doing pretty well down there in Australia. So he's like, yeah, I might dust him off, see how they do, because
I thought we were safe. I thought we were all safe from Stewie Trainer on Grey Knights, but we're not.
Here he comes.
I told the guys, before the GK Codex came out, I told the guys that the one thing I fear in 40k is Stewie Trainer with a new Codex, and oh man.
Well, he really wants to play Nids too, so we'll see. I mean, he's got some good choices right now. Yeah. Yep. I'm excited to see more Terminators from Grey Knights. I'm excited to see. I mean, like, this did make strikes even more efficient too. Like they fucking weren't before. 22 points for mastercrafted dudes that can reroll wounds if they want. Yeah. Like, woo.
They're just so annoying to dig out of a corner now. Like a strike squad just moves and charges onto an objective. It's just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to charge, and oh, I guess you're gonna interrupt, and I'm dead. Like, there's just all these things that go through your head that make that interaction so annoying.
Yeah, the only there's the new Nid book is gonna have a bunch of -1 damage, right? Like,
yeah, like it does. The Nids book also has a bunch of like -5 4 damage, ignore all saves, like just do 10 mortal wounds, like just annoying damage, and a lot of mortals. So I'm not convinced that the Nids care about these changes that much. Yeah. What it does affect though is all the guns, literally all the guns in the Craft Worlds book. Just got immediately like shit into Marines, unfortunately, which is pretty sad.
I mean, uh, we'll have to see how the numbers play out, right? Like, because what would it be? It's in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, and I'm not expecting it. Just to be completely clear, like in a perfect world, every army would have a 50% win rate, right, against every faction. That would be a perfectly balanced, what's the guy with the Infinity Stones whose name I can't remember
Thanos
right
with
now?
his little
Yeah,
knife.
yeah, he's like perfectly balanced. That's not a thing. Like it never will be. But the closer we can get to that, like no one wants to see a fucking 92% win rate. Harlequin's first week out. I'm like looking at you. But like, you know, also even 75% feels bad, right? Like Drukhari burst up to like 82 or something for a little while until the meta kind of switched, and then but they still sat around like high 60s for a long time.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here is like if we can't balance a game like chess, we can't balance 40k. It'll never happen.
Well, yeah, sure.
But I think you know, favorable matchups and some factions being good against other factions is fine. Like that should exist because that makes the game interesting. But it shouldn't be a blowout to the point where one faction has no hope against 4 other factions, for example.
Right.
So, yeah, like without being too blunt, and this balanced data slate has done a massive amount for the game. I'm really pleased about it. You know, just because it's brought armies up. We haven't even talked about other stuff. We've just talked about Armor of Contempt, but it's brought up a lot of stuff that people are that in my area are bringing out their guard armies. You know, they're bringing out their marine armies. They're bringing out armies that we haven't seen in ages, and that's amazing. I would rather go to a tournament that has 15 to 20 factions presented than just 5. So, a lot of good things. In saying that, though, like the last year after that, there's been, like pretty much since April last year, Drukhari came out until now, it's been a roller coaster, and a lot of people in our scene at least are burning out or wanting to take a bit of a break from the hobby or move on to something else and play something else just because it's been crazy. But now this has just hit them with this new jolt of energy and they're back. So I'm really keen to see how it goes. And I think perfect balance is it's a bit of a pipe dream. Like
I don't actually suspect that will be like achievable ever, even if we let some crazy AI just like design the game. Right? I don't. And if it was that way, like, would it be a fun game still?
It wouldn't be the same, right?
Right. Like if you're Deathwatch, you want to have those tricks and those tools to play into aliens. That's your thing. You are an anti-Xenos faction. Like you want to have those tools. And in a perfect world, an alien faction should have a harder time into Deathwatch than into something else. Where like the same thing, it's like Grey Knights against demons. Their whole thing is they're anti-demon, right? So I don't think it's unfair for the Grey Knights to have tools against demons. But yeah, I mean, would you want like a 55% win rate for Grey Knights against demons wouldn't bother me. But if it was 92%, like that would be very unfun. And the demon player is like, I don't even want to play this game. Like I have no hope.
Yeah, and like I'm not a statistician, and I'm not going to pretend I know a lot about stats. But from the guys that I talk to that do know a lot about stats, I think it's important to look at the whole swathe of things and not just the win rate, right? Like the win rate does show a lot. It shows how the win rate often shows how oppressive an army can be, and especially when you look at the win rate without the mirror, it can show like how it is in the meta, in the Shark Tank against everything else. but statistics like army representation compared to tournament participations or tournaments in winning position is really important. Who gets to the final round undefeated, or what factions do compared to their percentage in the field. And I know one T-Whip, yes. And one thing that Pete was doing at 40k Stats Center a lot was the first round loss which was a massive indicator of performance, which was the average position in, let's say, a 5 or 6 round event where an army loses its first game. So let's say if your average first round loss is 1.5, it means most of that army loses its first game between rounds 1 and 2, for example.
So
You know?
so this is like knights, right? Like old knights, like at the beginning of ninth. Knights were basically like a gut check army. I forget what the
Like a gatekeeper.
a tilt. Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you had a list that didn't have enough AT, the knights would stomp you. But the knights would never win the tournament, but they do well in the losers bracket effectively because they would go through, you know, statistically they would go through a bunch of these armies that lost their first or their second rounds, and those might not have the meta choices either in army or equipment to deal with knights.
Yeah, so that's what they call like a gatekeeper army, which is important to understand, because if you don't account for that, then you literally get kept at the gate and you can't proceed any further.
Yeah, exactly.
But the cool thing about average first round loss is it shows the average of people that could go like 3-0 on the first day, and on average, there were when Drakari and Admech were at their highest, the average first round loss of those was above 3, which meant the average Drakari and Admech player was going into the second day of the tournament undefeated. And that is that is horrific. That is like terrible.
That's the
for the
average
meta.
player? Like
the average first round loss was 3. So
it's
the
not
average
like
first round loss was the 3rd or 4th round. Yeah. So stuff like that starts to get crazy, because
so it's
in
not
8th
like
edition,
a Brad Chester goes 3-0. It's like just average goes 3-0.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's ballistic, absolutely ballistic. Because the average first round loss of factions that were great in 8th edition, like Double Speed Inari, was in the mid to low 2s. Like it's like 2.5 was considered incredible. But now we've got average first round losses at 3. It's like, oh well, I guess that this army is just shitting on everyone else. Like it's going completely undefeated until it plays itself, and then it loses to itself. So like that shows how ridiculous the meta is. So I hope that stuff like this balanced slate keeps things in check a bit more, and I just hope the codexes coming out from here on in don't cause that same kind of catastrophe.
So Christian just asked a question, asking if any more of the Brotherhood redesign videos are coming. I actually had to refilm one just yesterday because I filmed it before and I realized it wasn't using my nice mic. It was using one of my webcam mics, so it sounded like I was talking to you from the moon, and it was awful. So I had to re-record it. I will be editing it over the next few days, and I hope to have it up by like Wednesday. So it has been a month since I've released the last one, which feels really bad, and I apologize, but this isn't my full-time job. So there you go. I do plan on actually finishing that, and because you were here and you asked, it will be the Exactors, and I think you'll really like it. So yeah, so Grey Knights, Terminators, the power armor, like I think power armor's got play now, man. Like it really does. Like we were saying, strikes are going to be a pain in the ass, but now the thought of bringing like a purgation squad isn't even as daunting, right? Where like the purge squads, they don't have an invul, they would die really easily, especially to anything like the shuriken shots, and they're expensive. It's 130 points for a unit with psi cannon, so to lose one or two feels really bad. And I think now you stick those guys in cover, they effectively have a 1-up. I mean, that's really good.
It's great. And especially because like with the Purg squads from, I don't play Grey Knights, but I play against them often. The one thing that, the Purg squad doesn't want, the one thing it wants to do is sit there and shoot and spray down.
Yep.
There's so many failure points. Like there's no invo. They're a small unit often, like a little 5-man, so they get plinked away. They have virtually no combat ability, right? Because they've just got the big guns.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's all these situations where I could get shot, I could get charged, I could get tagged, I could fail my gate, and they're stuck in combat. Like there's so many failing points on the Purg squad. At least now they're durable, so they can cop the hit, right? Like no one's going to just throw like 5 racks to wrap a Perg unit and just hope they don't gate. So yeah,
Yeah.
it gives them a bit of a new lease on life. I know a lot of people are talking about paladins now getting a massive buff. Now, I'm not as educated on this as you are, Rick. What do you think about pallies in Grey Knight armies?
So the problem is that they still don't get their Brotherhood power.
Mhm.
I don't think we'll see like double Paladin bombs. I guess you could. I mean, there is the point where like if you cast Armored Resilience, which is one of the powers that they can pick. I guess if you have an apothecary follow them around with unyielding anvil, at least now they're obsec. But now you're like,
Yes.
so you're using a character and a warlord trait to make sure that they're as good as normal Terminators. Obviously, they hit on 2s in combat naturally, so that's cool. But then you're like, do you want to put like hammers on them and make them more expensive? I don't think so.
Yeah.
You can take 4 like side cannons in a 10-man, which is nice. I don't know. I think they have play, but I think the idea of using your one cast that you get as a unit to give yourself a +1 armor save when there's other things you could do, like cast Hammer Hand if you're in combat, because we all know hitting on 2s and rerolling all wounds is pretty damn good. If you want a unit that's going to move into the middle on like a 5 objective map and just be impossible to shift, they're pretty damn good, because they'll be in cover. They'll be at effectively a -1 armor save, which is like, now we're talking old school D&D where like if you had like a 0 AC, that was actually super good. Anyway, so you'd have to hit them with AP -3 just to get them onto 2s. AP -4.
So you need AP4 to push them to a 3 up.
Yeah,
That's
so
massive.
it's huge. It is good. I don't know. I would love to play it.
Yeah, and look, you touched on the exact point we were talking about before. Like, is it worth all that hassle and points and warlord traits and relics, where you could just have 5 strikes that are already obsec, that are already resilient, that you're not losing like 50 points a dude when they die? So
yeah, and troops, you can bring an unlimited amount of them. I've been wanting to play this for a long time just for shits, but it just like 3 characters, all strikes. Just see what I can do. Just don't care if I lose, or not all strikes, but 30 interceptors, everything else strikes. So it's just power armor and like 3 Terminator bodies, and just see how it goes.
Yeah. I played a list pretty much similar to Shui's list. It was like 50 to 55 infantry, like mix of strikes, pergs, puries, interceptors on Friday with my Tau, and we were playing the new rules, and it absolutely ran me over, man. Like,
really?
it's still good. Yeah,
Okay.
It beat the Tau by like 15 points. Yeah, it was really good.
That's good. Yeah, I think that the winners of this, like paladins, are the obvious choice because they're on a natural 2-up, but like do not count purifiers out, because you can do the same kind of thing, and they have the -1 damage strat. You can still bring 4 side cannons in there. They can't learn Hammer Hand, but you know, you get Purifying Flame, which if you combat squad them, you get 2 Purifying Flames. It's a different scale from Smite, so you can just get out. If you want to, you can reliably slam out, 10 to 12 mortal wounds from Smites and Purifying Flames a turn. And then you probably have the Mortal Wound Libby, who's doing anywhere from like 7 to 12. And one thing that doesn't care about AP at all is Mortal Wounds.
Exactly.
So I think that has some play too. And if you really want to lock down a middle, Purifiers, I think they've got some guts, and it's mainly due to that -1 damage strat. Unfortunately, transhuman's still fucking expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, that -1 damage strat's money, like whenever it's needed.
Like against the new Shuriken, which will just, if a wound goes through, it will kill a Marine. Now you just like pop that strat, and it halves Shuriken efficiency. And I played an Uthway list at my last RTT, and I straight up asked, like, how many Shuriken shots do you have? And the guy said like 64. or something, and I'm like, fuck, that is, that's not great. Not a fan.
Nah, the premium list, mate, is 27 Windrider bikes, all with the shuriken cannons.
I never
That's
had problem popping Wind Riders though. I mean, you have to
oh no,
live through that.
it's that they'll pop you first. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
I was gonna say you have to live through their Alpha Strike, but like,
Yeah,
yeah, I had. Yeah, I don't want
I lost
to get
I lost
too.
11 crisis suits to that. That was pretty bad.
Woo, really? Crisis suits.
Yeah,
What's the base crisis suit cost? Like
it's
50?
like a Centurion. Yeah, it's like a Centurion chassis.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's like 50, 60 points. It's
and
pretty
then you
rough.
add all the other stuff on there. So, yeah, every loss you feel. That I mean, that seems like Tau though, right? Like they're an ultra, like. I mean, like lore wise, it feels like Tau,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Because
When
a
they get
crisis
caught
suit,
with their...
yeah, a
Sorry,
crisis.
you go.
Oh, if I don't know my Tau lore super well, but if I remember right, the fire cast, once you've like gotten good enough to get into a crisis suit, they're effectively giving you. It's like being a tier 1, like like seal or
Yeah.
like Delta Force or SAS.
I
for you
believe the
guys
technical
there.
term is Giga Chad.
Yes, there you go. So like, yeah, the fact that it's 55 points sucks, but like.
Oh, I think they're like 30 or 35 base. I think when they put all the gear on, it becomes like 50. Yeah.
Okay. I thought they were more expensive, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to go to bed? I know it's like almost 1 o'clock there right now.
What time is it? We've been going for a couple hours. Look, I'm easy, mate. If
Time's relative.
there's, yeah, look, I don't, tomorrow's a public holiday, so it works out well. But yeah, if there's more questions, I'm happy to go through them. Otherwise, I'm happy to go through a list or something. Up to you.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent point here. So I want to remind everybody yet again, we're here. There are 17 folks in here. If you have any questions at all, throw them into chat and we'll discuss them. I do want to go over very quickly. I know neither of us are guard players, but these guard changes seem pretty cool. Like this makes las guns a little scary. They're no longer flashlights. They're like flashlights that actually throw in some saves at least.
Yeah, I mean, it makes Cadians pretty good because you have reroll hits abilities. Makes conscripts pretty good. It's 30 conscripts, rerolling all hits with AP neg 1. That's pretty average for, everyone involved.
Throw a commissar in there and then try to actually get them off of an objective.
Oh, look, they're only one. They're one use only, mate. Send them out, they'll die. But but I mean, it's interesting because the jury's out on whether scions and stuff get it. I'm kind of playing conservatively that Tempestus scions don't get the exploding sixes because if they did, we'd have a few scion lists on our hands that would just be tabling fools.
Like the hot las guns or whatever they have.
Oh, just 6 of the Tauroxes, man. Like 6 Tauroxes full of guards and a couple of plasma teams and stuff just running at you. It's crazy. Because like a Taurox can put out like close to 40 shots.
Oh, no,
close to like
drill.
30 shots. No, it's the little like Jeep, the little Besta Scions transport. It's like a T610 wound, little idiot. Yeah, it's in the start collecting box that they have.
Isn't 10 wounds T6 the same thing as our storm speeders or whatever?
Probably. I've never heard of a storm speeder.
Yeah.
No one runs them. Yeah, so like little Tauroxes, for example, like they have I think it's like 20 Gatling shots plus 8 hot shots, something like that, and then a Storm Bolter, a Taurox Prime. And then, if that got the exploding hits as Lambden Lions, that's pretty nuts indeed. But yeah.
So I just sent you a list on Discord. This is the list I want to bring to. I think I sent this to you before, but that RTT that I want to do next time, we'll transition over so you guys can follow along. Lawrence is saying no question, but I wanted to let us know he's enjoying the show. So thank you, very much. And
Nice.
then Christian is asking, still really new to the game, which army has the data slate just totally ruined, and our land rider just totally ruined? Which army has the data slate just totally ruined? I don't know what you mean by that, but
Oh,
they do
I think you
ask,
might want to know which army's just gotten destroyed by it.
oh, by the data slate, definitely custodes.
Yeah, poor custodes.
Custodes didn't just get like slapped in the balls; they got thrown. They're like not at the table. They're. I mean, really good players will be able to do moderately well with them, but they lost a whole lot of their linchpin um, abilities. I think that was pretty heavy handed from what I understand about how custodes play, which arguably is
Yes.
not. I'm not that great. I don't know them that well. And now it makes
Yeah,
sense, I guess, why they got the points decrease.
yeah, they just lost. They just lost their ability to get themselves out of sticky situations. Like they had so many options to unstick themselves, and now they just die. So it's yeah.
And then they're also asking, are land raiders, rhinos, and aircraft better options to bring for Grey Knights? So that's a good question. A lot of people on the Grey Knight Discord are talking about the land raider now, and I think they're talking about it just because, like, who doesn't love the iconic land raider? But what do you think, Dineeth?
I mean, it might be different in Grey Knights, but in terms of Deathwatch, like Land Raiders are good. Sorry, I should say Land Raiders are better, but you know, the if everything else is better, does that mean I just have better options in general?
Yeah,
And like there's stuff that's better than a Land Raider. Like it doesn't all of a sudden just make one thing shine.
yeah,
I mean, I'd be keen to test transports in Deathwatch. Like, I'm not above that. I mean, testing a couple of rhinos could be kind of cool. And same with GK. Like, you test a couple of rhinos because they do get benefits now. Like, they get saves against Melter, which is not to be frowned upon.
nope.
Um,
At
it
least
gets
you
a bit
get a
more,
save, yeah.
yeah. That's it. It gets a bit more crazy when you look at stuff like Sisters who have Armor of Contempt as well as Miracle Dice, and then they can manipulate that pretty hard. But we don't have that, but still you can try and roll that 6. But yeah, look, I'd be keen to maybe try the Land Raider. My gut tells me it still dies.
Yeah.
Just because it's like just a big point sink and a big wound sink. Like it's not like 8 wounds, it's like 16, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like people just look at it going, oh, I guess I get all my value by putting all my big guns into this. And oh, look, it died. Great, I got my value. Let's move on.
Yeah. And it still is what, 265 base points,
Yeah,
I think,
10
or
vets, 10
285,
vets,
something like that.
10 obsec vets for a Land Raider,
Um,
or like 10 strikes.
yeah.
So
There is a lot of play if you like your rhinos. In Grey Knights, there's still a ton of play for interceptors,
oh yeah,
out of rhinos, back into rhinos, all that crazy crap that they can do. But um, let's say you have a rhino, you deploy it like an inch back behind your deployment line. It's got 10 interceptors in it. You're behind a skewering. On your turn, they get a 15-inch move effectively because they get to climb out 3 inches from the rhino and then move 12, and they still get a psychic power in the whole 9 yards. So you have a lot
yes,
of more threat projection there where maybe your opponent forgot you have them because they're in the rhino, or they forgot about the extra movement. So you can really
the threat on them is
surprise folks
massive.
with it. Yeah. And a rhino by itself is also great to, like, you just turn it sideways in an alley and just move block something.
Yeah,
It's,
they
yeah.
amazing for threat projection because you get a rhino with 5 or 10 guys behind a ruin, and people mentally kind of know what infantry can do from behind a ruin, so they like mentally measure like 17, 18 inches, right? Because it's like 6 inches plus 12. Okay, they shouldn't be able to get me. But then you just stick a rhino there and just realize they get like an extra 3 inches. So that little bit of extra threat projection goes a long way because people can't sit at 18 because it's like, oh, I get a 9 and then it's like an 8 or 9 inch charge. And I mean,
Yeah.
people can't really risk that. They've got to sit a bit further back and often you can't. Often you can't afford to do that when you have to hold objectives and things. So
Yeah.
I think the value of a rhino in staging threats is pretty big. I'd be keen to see it in Deathwatch, but I think Grey Knights capitalize on it so well. Like the
Yeah.
interceptors are great for the fire and fade, getting out and doing like Octarius data, like doing Nachman data now, and then jumping back in, and the turn after
Yep.
going and doing it the other quarter. You can do that with a 6-inch moving unit, which is massive because
Yeah.
a Rhino gives you that extra 3 inches, huge. So little things like that are pretty impactful, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And like I have frustrated so many opponents just by again like turn 3, maybe the interceptors are dead or they like went to go do something else, and the rhino's still up. Your opponent knows it's just a rhino, like by itself. There's nothing in it. It's got a storm bolter on it. That's it.
Yeah.
And they want to ignore it. They don't want to interact with it. But if you move block people with
Mm.
it is frustrating, and they realize, oh my god, I have to waste resources to kill this stupid 80-point model.
Who the hell wants to stick their
Like,
head out to shoot the Rhino with their linchpin unit, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I sure as hell don't
So,
want to stick 5 crisis suits around a corner to shoot a Rhino.
yeah, but I
If
mean,
you know, and I
yeah,
got to waste CP to fire and fade them and stuff, and it's just like, yeah.
I'm probably not using a rhino to move block an army that flies, but you know what?
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I mean.
But even like standing on an objective, right? Like you've got to manage that somehow. You got to deal with a Rhino.
and if
So it's
you, I mean, this is pretty niche, but you can use like a rhino to hide infantry behind too.
yeah.
You're not going to do that with a 10-man Proteus kill team. Like, there's just too many dudes. But if you've got a few left and you're holding an objective, you can kind of make them unshootable by having
it's
a
amazing
rhino
for
just
Mantle.
in front of
It's
them.
amazing for Mantle of Shadows, right? Like just a sneaky
That
Rhino
too.
is just such an annoying thing. And
Yeah.
you just have one thing that's unshootable in the back. It's great.
Yeah, so there are options. I'm keen to see them played out more.
All right, let's dive into your list, hey?
Yeah, let's dive into the list. That sounds great. So,
we've got
a lot of these weapon options are kind of, well, not a lot. A few of them are a little weird. It's because what I had modeled, but so I have a jump pack captain with the Xenophase blade. I threw an Inferno pistol on him because it's free with this guy for some reason, and I no longer wanted to bring a storm shield on him to save 10 points. I had a storm shield on him originally. I wasn't bringing the Aegis, so I just got rid of it. He already has a 4-up invul anyway. The Primaris Chaplain on bike that we see everywhere. He's amazing. He's got every upgrade. He's the Warlord. You'll see right there, optimized priority. A Primaris Librarian, no other upgrades. He just the base one. He's got Premorphic Resonance and Fortified with Contempt because those are our go-to amazing powers. Got my 5 Hell Blasters, my Ass Blasters. I'm not sure. At first, I was going, or before I added the Spectrus team, I was going to have these guys combat squad. I was going to put the Hell Blasters in Deep Strike, use the intercessors to hold my side of the board, or just to like hold my home objective. But now that I have the Spectrus teams, I'm not wondering if I don't do that with them, especially because they'll, block off my deployment zone from deep strikes and stuff. So I was going to actually stick that whole unit up in deep strike now. Got the Indomitor kill team, aggressors, bolt, inceptor. So it's just, so this is the team that I think does an average of 52 or 56 shots. You can use Spectrum or Specialism Extremis. This is the Aquila team, so they can do it to anything. I can blast a Maleceptor or a bunch of Neuroanthropes or even a Knight or whatever if I really want to. This is a great way to just auto wound, hitting on 2s with the recitation of focus from the chaplain. I'm going to play with the Honored Veteran of the Watch with the Artificer armor just because I think that's interesting. I don't have a Apothecary in this list. So it might be
Yes.
wasted, but it'll be a little something to make that team a bit tankier.
Mhm.
And then I have 2 Proteus kill teams. These are my melee guys. They're exactly the same. I had some points left over, so I threw as many Thunder Hammers in here as I could. So I have 1,
Mhm.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Thunder Hammers and a heavy Thunder Hammer in this
Mhm.
team. And then I round everything else out with lots of chain swords. So again, the idea is if I get in on an elites unit, like say a bunch of crisis suits, pop specialism extremists, and just shower you in horrific saves, hopefully in the assault doctrine. And then I have the other one that's exactly the same. I do that because I mentally can't keep track of a whole bunch of this stuff. Hey,
Fair
no
enough.
yawning.
Yeah. Hey, I'll try my best.
Yeah, no,
No, that makes sense. I mean,
yeah,
keeping them even is just like there's so much stuff you have to remember
yeah,
that it just makes sense to keep them the same sometimes.
yeah. And then last but not least, here's my my Spectrus kill team. I made them Pergatus, who knew? And then this is the 4 eliminators with the bolt sniper rifles, and then 6
Yep.
infiltrators, 1 with the Helix Gauntlet. The one with the Helix Gauntlet will go with the eliminators. This team will always combat squad. And yeah, so I will be sticking a whole lot of threat out there for HQs. I know the RTTs around here that I play in, we use player place terrain. So hopefully I can get at least some good lines of fire out to just past the mid board with the snipers. And then I've just got a lot of threat projection. I've got the beacon on the chaplain to pull up the Indomitor kill team, and then I'll have the plasma guys in deep strike to drop in, and then they have Dominatus, so hopefully I can use specialism extremists with them as well and wipe out another unit. So that's the general list. Although I do have a great question for you after you neuter this list.
Oh, it's fine. The list is great. There's a few things I'd consider. Um,
Go on.
Character loadout's great. I personally like Mantle of Shadows over Premorphic Resonance. If you were to pick one, that's just me. Or you could just make him a Super Lydian and take all 3. It's not the end of the world.
The problem
So
is
yeah,
finding the points. I guess I could drop a bunch of Thunderhammers now. That is
yeah.
actually an option.
Because the other thing I was looking at is if you have the ability, that captain is a pretty good carrier for like Imperium Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Or even something like if you really want like Beast Slayer or something. But I think Imperium Sword is pretty solid here. Like it's an all round good trade for the captain. Looking at the kill team setup, your Indomitor team is pretty stock standard. Like I like it.
Yeah, there's nothing special
If you're
there.
looking at if you're looking at using the Extremis strat on the Hellblasters, maybe consider making them the Aquila team.
I had them actually originally the other Aquila team as well. So that's
Yeah,
I would move this Dominatus down to this Proteus
yeah, I think
team here and switch that.
the Proteus teams are kind of cool. I mean, having the Thundies just means that like you're not relying on them for range damage. You're trying to shoot them in and get them into
Yeah.
the field. Um, just looking at the loadouts here because you've got 2 Terminators in the unit. Okay. And
Yeah,
you've
it's
got a single
basically a
Vanguard
question
there.
of do I want a 3rd Terminator or do I want a Black Shield? And I think the Black Shield just gives you a lot of
Yeah,
different
I
versatility.
just think
So
with your Storm Shields in the unit, I don't think you want Storm Shields on your Terminators.
as
I
Deathwatch,
think
can we even take Thunder Hammers without the Storm Shield? I don't think we can.
oh,
Right?
as in like why don't you just take normal Terminators with Chain Fists and
Yeah.
Storm Bolters?
Okay, I
Because
see.
the Chainies, they realistically do as much as the Thundies, and they're also neg 4 AP, which is great to punch through.
Really?
Um,
Oh,
yeah, they're
I
like
missed
strength
that.
8, neg 4, I think D3 damage, but 3 damage flat against vehicles.
Yeah, 3 damage
Um,
flat against vehicles.
yeah, so
Pretty
like
legit.
chain fists are pretty nice. but also it means that you've got one thing that has an effective one-up save. So if you get sprayed down with neg 1 AP, you are now taking it on the Terminator with the Chain Fist, which is actually cheaper than your Thunderhammer Stormshield Terminator
Yeah, that's true.
because he doesn't get the neg 1 to AP because he has a Storm Shield. So like maybe if you're using it for the combat and and you get a free Storm Bolter.
So yeah, 38 points versus 43 points for Chain
yeah,
Fist and Storm Bolter versus
yeah.
Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. So that's
Yeah,
not
so
nothing.
there's 10 points there, and look, like I think the like the all rounder Terminator for me that I'd pick is Chain Fist Stormbolter personally. So if you do that on both squads, that's 20 points you've saved. That's potentially your Chief Librarian. That's potentially some other war gear here and there. That's I guess a fifth of a way to an apothecary, but I think it might be hard to squeeze the apoth into this
Yeah,
list.
I
Um,
tried to squeeze an apothecary into this list, and I had to drop an entire Proteus kill team, which
you,
felt
you can't
really
do
bad,
that.
or drop the Hell Blasters, and then I have a bunch of points left over either way um
Yeah,
to um bring even more crazy war gear options. Like those chain swords could probably go to like power swords or lightning claws or whatever, but I
I think
don't. And then that makes the Indomitor kill team harder to kill, but you have to just
yeah,
lose a whole kill team to do it, or I have to drop a character. And the characters
yeah,
are all
nah,
there to do stuff. So I
yeah.
don't
I,
want to
I think
lose any of the characters.
the big thing here is the choice between the Libby and the Apothecary. And I'm keen to test out the Libby because we know what the Apothecary does. It's tried and tested.
Yeah.
The big question is, will there be games where the Libby is impactful? Um, and does it unlock the psychic secondaries? Do the denies help? Do the powers help?
Hmm.
So yeah, and the other thing I would this is just personal touch. Instead of that sixth infiltrator, I like the incursor with the haywire mine. I think he's cool to go with the original five lads. So it
Yeah,
just creates
that's.
another
I
annoying
got you.
thing.
I got you.
Like no one wants to charge like five Harlequins, right? You don't really want to charge in and maybe lose three Harlequins to a bomb.
Oh my gosh,
So
it's 31 points for a haywire mine. Or,
yeah,
sorry, it's 31 points for the incursor plus the haywire mine.
yeah. So
I
he's
should
a
be
bit steep.
specific.
He's a bit
Yeah.
steep. He's what 7 points over an infiltrator.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's 7 points potentially doing D3 mortal wounds. So let's say 2 wounds. Most wounds aren't 4 points each. Most wounds are like 7-ish points each. So on average, he's doing what 10 to 15 points worth of damage just before he even engages. So
Yeah.
often he's nice. But yeah, I mean, list is good, man. I think the Hellblast is a really good meta pick because they're pushing that like strength 6 neg 4 2 damage. It's just a lot of the neg 4 that'll just
Yeah.
start blowing through stuff. So it's good.
Yeah. I like
Uh,
that. I've always loved my ass blasters anyway, and I love that they've made them like more
yeah,
of an efficient pick because of this armor of con, contempt thing. And if I can, one of the skill sets I don't have yet is I'm not very good at knowing when to split fire. Like,
mhm,
with one of my recent interviews with Michael Costello, he was talking about a Drakari game where he knows that on average with Specialism Extremis, his Indomitor kill team can pop 3 Raiders. And I'm like, dude, I wouldn't even like I would feel gutsy if I tried to kill 2.
mhm.
But like he knows
Yeah,
exactly what models to target into each one
yeah,
to reliably kill 3 raiders a turn with 1 kill team. Like yes, he has to spend
yeah,
5 CP because they have to go imp fists, and then you have to spend the specialism extremis, but to pop every single raider a Drakari player brings, it's probably worth 5 CP.
it's huge. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that's kind of the level of skill I guess that he's got because of the reps that he has.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something that the good thing about specialism extremis is it takes out a whole step or 2 steps, which is the wounding and stuff. So it just makes you roll to hit. So if you can predictably look at, okay, this unit has +1 to hit, so it's hitting on 2s, rolling 1s. I guess 95+% of the shots are hitting. You
Yeah.
can reliably say this thing's going to put X wounds, Y wounds, Z wounds on these targets, and you go from there. So
Yeah.
I think,
That's true. That's true.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, I'm I'm keen to see how you do with this, man. I think the Hellblaster's going Aquila is a good change. And then yeah, I think the Captain is Imperium Sword that's the only toss up question, whether you need the CP or whether you want to give him something. But no, that's sick. And
Yeah, I mean,
try the Chain Fist. The Chain Fist fucking rock.
the problem right now is simply that I have a bunch of chain fists. I don't have any of them
Yep.
painted or magnetized or like ready to go, and I've got like 6 days to paint
Damn.
4
And I don't think I could.
eliminators, a ton of weapons, and Inceptor, 2 bikes, and I got to finish this captain. So
I have
I
12
don't,
Chain Fist Hermes in that cupboard, and I don't think I can mail them to you in time, can I?
no, no, that would be really funny though. Spend like $40 to mail me
Yeah.
5 models or something. No, I'm really excited. This has a lot of the tech. When I was playing against Stefan from One Last Blade, I think on turn 4, he's like, "This is like fucking playing Eldar. This is insane."
It's like Marine Harlequins, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm
it's
like,
just so jumpy. Yeah.
I have so many options. Oh, you're a shooty army, and I'm going second. You're far away. I guess I'll be Raven Guard for 1 turn. Like, why do I care? Right? I mean,
Yeah,
I can still get off my Indomitor Wombo combo because I'm spending CP on them. It's not like it's a chapter tactic. And now we're going to be even crazier because it's like, oh, you have reroll all wounds? Well, I don't care. I'm Salamanders now.
Yeah.
Like, just, you don't get to reroll wounds at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
All right. If you're up for it, I do want to show you my list. Oop. No, I don't want to save. I want to open. Let me show you my list from my Grey Knights. And this is the list that I brought to that RTT that I came in 3rd. And I'm wondering what you think about it in terms of these new changes. Let me get it to where everyone else can also see it. There we go. Yay, I'm learning. So Mortal Wounds Librarian, the Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight, the way I always take him, Hammer of Righteousness, Unyielding Anvil, Gate of Infinity, Empiric Amplification, Sigil of Exigence, which is probably my favorite relic in the whole game right now, followed very close. Yeah. Cool. Followed very closely by Beacon. But Sigil of Exigence is an amazing relic because it changes the way that your opponent has to think about an entire unit. Like, that is so awesome. And I've had games where they just ignore this Dread Knight because they're like, I don't want to engage him in combat. He'll wreck me. I can't shoot him. He'll go into my backfield. So I just get to run him around the board for a whole game, just doing whatever the fuck I want, which is amazing. Drago, he's there mainly for rerolls. Course, but he's also a little librarian because he casts 2 and he knows 3, which is I think that's huge, and I think some folks kind of forget that. He's also an absolute beat stick in combat. So here's the crux right here is I have 10 Terminators, all with swords. And the storm bolters, I use them a lot, so I would run right up to the middle, and then I would use Cybolt ammunition a lot on them, which I found particularly good because just like 6 is auto wounding, and then actually adding AP, at least at the time, to your storm bolters was incredible. Like against Eldari, they shredded. It was great. Then 2 just normal old strikes, and a Papa carry. I put the gyro temporal vault on him for this list. That was a mistake. That is a waste of a CP because that is a psychic action for him to do that, which means he can't be warp shaping, and he can't smite. He can't do anything else. He can just do that action. He can't. I mean, not that he has a gun, but he can't shoot. Anyway. Some Observators for some action monkeys, 20 interceptors, and 1 Dread Knight. So I only had 2 Dread Knights, which I'll think most of the other Grey Knight players at the RTT were actually running 4, and I had 2. But how do you feel this list would play now with this Armor of I mean, it'd play the same way, but I think I'd have a lot more Terminators alive at the end
Yeah.
of the match.
I really like it because you've got the strike unit, the little units to fight on the flanks. The big Terminator unit's awesome because it can really lean into like to the last. You can just plan
Oh
it out
yeah,
there
that's a good point.
because here's the
400.
thing: it looks like you're to the last is your Grandmaster. Oh wait,
It would be
no,
my
no, the interceptors are a bit too
yeah,
expensive.
yeah, that's right. Wow,
The
wow.
interceptors, maybe you could consider. So this is what I would consider doing. Get the Nemesis Dreadnought out completely, the heavy support one.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, yeah. Get the Servitors out. Actually, you could leave the Servitors in, not the end of the world.
I do like
If you
them.
trim,
So I should
if you trim,
probably mention
mm,
this list was built for intercept data.
yeah, yeah,
So the servitors run up with the Terminators, stand in the middle, and just give me 3 points every turn.
yep, cool.
So that's why
Fine.
they're there.
Okay, cool. Keep the Servitors. This is
Yeah.
the coolest thing you could do, and it'll blow your fucking mind. So,
I'm
cut the
listening.
Dreadnought.
Uh-huh.
Use those points to get 2 strike units.
Okay.
Make the interceptors 3 units of 5, and
Okay.
then all of a sudden, you're to the last are your big Terminator unit, Drago, and the 3-up Invert Dreadnought.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
tough pill to swallow. And the Dread Knight already, you don't want to shoot it.
No. And you'll never get to Drago because it'll be in the middle of all those termies or somewhere. And you'll never get to the termies because if you focus enough on the termies, all the strikes just win the game.
Yeah.
So
And
that would take you to what? It'll be 15 interceptors and then 20 strikes.
well, I mean, we can actually. I mean, I don't want to do this on stream because it's boring, but yeah, I will check that out. I don't want to
Yeah.
like do it live. I don't
I think it should
folks
be
want to watch
close.
me poke around at a battle scribe for 15
Yeah.
minutes. So,
But I think that'll be awesome because it sets you up for to the last really well.
yeah, I like that too. I'm debating as well. Like if I drop that Dread Knight, I could make those paladins instead. And then I have to put Unyielding Anvil on the apothecary.
No, I liked your judgment on Terminators because they get the benefits and stuff, and you know they're a bit cheaper, aren't they? They're like 100 points cheaper for 10.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
that's 10.
significantly cheaper.
That's 5 strikes, mate. Like take the 5 strikes to the bank.
That's a good point.
That's way. Yeah.
It's not like strikes got worse.
It's not at all.
Cool. I just love the Terminator models. Like, it's probably my favorite Terminator model in the whole game, and I love Terminators anyway. Like, I bought the Deathwing PC game just because I'm like, oh, fucking Terminators, hell yeah, I'll play that.
Yeah, dude.
But the Grey Knight ones are so good looking. I love them. I love the helmet.
So much detail.
Like, and the fact that they're not like they don't look hunched over, you know.
They look like tall and broad. Hey, they're awesome.
Yeah, I love it. So I like to play them. The thing is, I don't go to that many tournaments, so I don't want to just play the same like list at every tournament, right? I want to branch out and try stuff. So,
yes.
Oh, what's up, guys? I got every animal now is like just no. Christian's asking another question. I have talked with a few Deathwatch players, and I want to ask you about some of the complaints and what they'd like to see changed, such as special issue ammunition, give it back to every single bolter variant, and fix the model tax. I assume the model tax, you mean the specialisms, or... I definitely thought it was weird. I mean, I didn't play Deathwatch in 8th. You did, clearly. But I thought it was weird that, like, all the Primaris and the Stormbolters lost special issue ammo, but special issue ammo, like, the 4 types didn't change, right? They're all the same?
They changed a little bit. Like, actually, they changed a fair bit.
Okay.
So Hellfire rounds used to always wound anything that wasn't a vehicle on 2s.
Oh, that's right.
And that was ballistic because you could just spray down a Riptide with 40 vets and the Riptide would just fall over because it's like take 100 and saves. So you could do stuff like that. I think, look, it's just a different army. I mean, the one issue is as the game changes, we have to understand that we have to change the way we play the same models. And although we love the models and the way they played previously, it can't always be the same. Otherwise, we'd get bored and we would stop playing, right? So,
Yeah, that's true.
I think the change in the special issue ammo, I mean, it'd be cool if it affected a few more guns. Like just having them on the Deathwatch Vets bolt guns is a bit annoying. I'd love it to affect, like it affects the combis, which is nice. But imagine, love it to affect intercessor weapons if they want to bring Primaris into the fold a bit more.
Yeah.
If it affected like aggressors and stuff, maybe that'd be a bit too crazy.
Yeah, that would be. I mean,
Yeah.
Bolt Storm gauntlets with special issue ammo would be pretty bonkers.
Yeah.
You definitely start to see multiple Indominator teams then.
Yeah, and in saying that, I don't think our shooting output is an issue. Like, I don't think we need more guns in our army or we need more damaging bullets in our army. I think the biggest thing is, we've got if we're playing elite models or an elite army that has fewer models than other armies, which is fine. I think the big thing there is making sure that the durability profile and the presence on the board is similar to that points cost. Because if we're
Yeah.
running around with overcosted Marines that don't do as much as Marines, that's not good. So I think this balanced data slate's doing a lot for us. So yeah, I think it is what it is and roll with it. Unfortunately.
So I mean, I
Yeah.
would love to have special issue ammo on Storm Bolters as well, but I mean, like, just I think SIA is just kind of looked down upon in general, but like, man, the additional flexibility, right? Like, that's the thing about this army is you always have options.
Yeah.
What chapter do you want to be? What doctrine are you gonna be in? Would you like to put one unit into another doctrine? Would you like to, put one unit into another chapter tactic? Like, you have so many things floating around, and then having an additional option like, oh yeah, these 3 storm bolters can now be like 2 damage or whatever. It's also neat. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, what I want is not to spend, all these points on these elite units that fall over to a stiff breeze, which is the unfortunate state of what power armor was at,
like 5 incubites
days ago.
and everything dies.
Yeah. And Lawrence brought up a great point. He says that he thinks Christian meant by model tax where we have to take 5 of X before 5 of anything else. The biggest change I would like to see regarding that is I would like to see on the Fortis kill team that we be able to take assault intercessors instead of normal ones. So pick one or the other, and then you can either go hard into like assault intercessors because they've got the like fight twice strat, and chainswords being -2 in assault isn't bad at all. And then I would like to see more options where I think the Fortis kill team also needs to be able to pick between Blade Guard and suppressors. I don't know why we didn't get those. I guess 5-man OBSEC Blade Guard seemed a little insane to Games Workshop at the time, but like, why not the suppressors? I don't know. It might be neat that we were the only army that could have like brought 5, in one unit or whatever. That's what I would change personally.
I mean, five suppressors is pretty awesome. Like that'd be pretty crazy.
I think that'd be a lot of fun, and it'd be neat to have one army that does like one unit type right? Like
100%, right?
Yeah.
If we had
we don't
5
see suppressors anywhere.
Imagine if they could go into a Spectrus kill team, like you just shoot and fade them all day, just 15 shots, just down the board.
Yeah, I don't know if I think they're actually Mark 10 Tacticus. I don't think they're Phobos, so they'd have to go in the Fortis team.
They were just in the Shadow Spear kit, so they weren't Phobos, like that would be cool.
That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm waiting for that time, but even like on the special issue ammo, like comment, like there could be a meta that rolls around and Deathwatch special issue ammo becomes good, and we all start playing it in 9th. So you never know; it could be around the corner. But I think the tax is only really a tax if you feel it. Like if you play it as that. Like marine bodies on the board, you still need them to do stuff. So they may as well be obsec, and they may as well be contributing to making other units that are better
Yeah.
obsec. So that's, I guess, the way I see it.
I think it's more
Yeah.
like when you consider the fact, like, what if Indomitor kill team was, you could take any Gravis. It'd be like, okay, well then you're gonna bring 9 aggressors and 1 Inceptor,
Inceptor.
or maybe 2 Inceptors and 8 aggressors, and then you're just gonna split them off into like 2 5-mans or whatever, right? And you're gonna have the same.
Sorry.
No,
you're gonna have the same situation. I was gonna say, it takes away from the aggressor unit and the eradicator unit and the inceptor unit if you can just take a kill team and it's all of a sudden obsec. Like why would I ever take an aggressor unit if I could just take an Indomitor kill team that's an aggressor unit but obsec, So I think that little, I guess if you call it attacks, the first 5 dudes, I think that's important. I think it's important to distinctly make that different. Otherwise everyone would play Deathwatch, right?
Yeah, that's true. True. And like we said earlier, we definitely want to be going into games or like tournaments, right? Like say you just do a 1-day 3-game RTT. Do you want all 3 of your games to be against the same army? Right?
No way.
Like, do you want to be playing Quins and then fight 3 Quins players? Like, no, that's not Warhammer. That's just Harlequins of the game, right? Like,
yeah. And the thing with Deathwatch is all they have to do is like do a few little things the wrong way, and we start to become this like unbeatable force. Like you go too much one way, and Deathwatch could be that army, right? So you've got to keep it in check.
So weirdly, if I look up so Lawrence had a really good point that suppressors have the same armor as intercessors by lore, but then they're actually in the Phobos AOR. I just looked up their keywords. They don't have the Phobos keyword, so I'm very confused about suppressors now. I don't know where they're supposed to live.
They've actually got the Alpha Legion keyword, and they were put there 10,000 years ago by Alfarius.
It's that long game, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man, that accelerator autocannon, like what a cool profile though. Strength 7, -1 AP, 2 damage. The problem is they're heavy, but like also you turn off Overwatch if you just get 1 hit in. That'd be so cool to even bring like 1 suppressor in a Fortis team just so that you're just hoping for a hit to just turn off Overwatch.
Yeah.
Like he's not there to do anything else.
Could you imagine if you could take them, right? And let's say in a world where Outriders were actually good, you could take 4 Outriders and a Suppressor, jump them forward, make the Suppressor take the shot, turn off Overwatch, 4 Outriders go in. Cool.
Hell yeah. See, I love that. Why can't we do that? How's that any more broken than any of this NIDS shit?
Yeah.
It's not. Right. And like Quins just, they have like an army-wide thing where they just don't take Overwatch, or they can turn off Overwatch on like 1
I think it's a strat that Dark Harlequins have.
Okay, it's a
stratagem. So yeah.
Not too bad then.
And they've got army-wide fight on death, which is ballistic.
Yeah. That's 9th is my first edition. This is still a pretty new hobby for me, but I gotta say, like,
welcome to the jungle, mate.
Yeah, definitely feeling like, the whole reason I make those Grey Knight Brotherhood redesign videos, which is totally a mental exercise, is like I look at what the codexes have now versus what they had, even with Grey Knights, which was a good codex. It was powerful for its time. But like when you look at the Brotherhoods, it wasn't really a whole lot of choices you're making. It's not really changing the way that you play your army. But if you looked at like Gene Stealer cults, their cults changed the way you played your army.
Totally different.
If you wanted like nothing but bikers, you took 1. If you wanted like aberrants with the industrial weapons, you took another. Like totally different playstyles. And the Grey Knight Codex kind of fell flat in that way.
Yes.
But I see it now, especially with like, Dark just gets fight on death all the time. They're already super fast. They can advance in charge, or they can't.
Yeah, they can all do it.
Yeah, so it's like They can already advance and charge, and then they made their fighting even better because it doesn't even matter if you die. You're gonna get to fight with them. You know?
Yes.
So when you compare passives like that to the fact that Grey Knights got no passives for their brothers, it's a little
That's pretty
bizarre.
huge.
A little bizarre. So anyway, I don't want to end this on a down note, but I am super excited about the Armor of Contempt changes. I think we're going to see many more finishes for Grey Knights and, you know, power armor in general. Actually, do you want to talk about like sisters real quick? Because woo,
Yeah,
Valorous Heart's gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's fairly impactful. I mean, especially because the the stuff that Wound Sisters, if you look at it this way, the value for money of your big guns on little stuff is not good. Like your heavy bolters, your autocannons, things like that, going into Sisters, you don't really like those guns cost points to put on your models, and you're shooting at, let's say, 10-point units, right? All of a sudden, that unit has a 2-up save to a neg 1 AP bolter that's shooting in cover. Like it's pretty annoying.
Yeah.
So like that starts to add up, especially when you've got cheap bodies, especially when they can bring them back when they've got a 6-up feel no pain, like in Valhart, and you can't reroll wounds. We start to run into some trouble. So I think the sisters, like I'm not well versed in sisters. I don't play them the current edition. I played them in the past, but not in ninth. Um, I think the Valhart lists will come back, you know, in force. I also think the Bloody Rose lists have the power now, like the combat power, to actually deal with the power armor because they just hit you with neg 3, neg 4 all day. So they actually have the ability to get through all the other Armor of Contempt armies, plus getting a little bit of survivability to boot. So I'm
Yeah.
keen to see. I'm really keen to see. I'm keen to see what some of the top players here and around the world do with it.
What's the Repentia? Do they have the? Yep, they do. They have the
Yep.
Adeptus Sororitas. So do Mortifiers, right? Like, don't they have the Adeptus Sororitas keyword?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Hold on, I'll check. Because now I mean, obviously Paragon Warsuits.
Yeah. Paragon's
Oh,
just
here
got
we
a
go.
massive buff from that. So
Mortifiers. They do have the Adeptus Sororitas keyword, which
huge.
makes sense because of all the battle forge rules. Otherwise, if you brought them, you would lose
Yeah.
like miracle dice, which why play a Sister's Army if you don't get miracle dice, right? So yeah, but they'll be a 3-up save effectively. They'll be not taking any wounds or not being able to have wounds rerolled against them. Wow, I'm speaking very well today.
That's big for Valhart mortifiers, mortifiers in general, because they would just get sprayed down by neg 2 AP things, and now all of a sudden they're making double the saves. They're saving on a 5+ instead of a 6+. So you know
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
it's pretty strong. All right, so watch out for the coming Valorous Heart Tide of rolling through. Fred's asking us about Assault Sense, which I know we both very much love. In fact, you have converted me to that church.
Yep.
He's asking flamers or melta guns, and I say flamers 100% of the time, every time.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
like not only are they cheaper, but they're just
you just don't have the volume of shots to do anything. They can't get rerolls to hit effectively for Melter, so I just like to pile in the Flamers. And the cool thing is Flamers and Hurricanes for them and neg 1 ignore cover, so it's actually still... I know we talk about the matchup into Army of Contempt a lot. It's not always going to be them, but neg 1 AP ignoring cover is huge for a lot of things. Like GSC Eldar, whatever, Harlequins, you know, it just sprays them down.
Yeah.
But it's also massive into Marines because it pushes them back to that 3-up armor. It doesn't allow them to get the cover, and it's another unit that can flood them with saves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, the 3 Assault Sense just got... We were talking about this before we started recording, like 3 Assault Sense of money, because you drop them into a crater, or not a crater, like a ruin. They're on a 1-up save, ignoring, you know, 1 point of rend. So, like, you've got to get them... You got to hit them with neg 3 to get them off the 2-up. That's pretty annoying. So look, I love them. They're great.
Yeah, and like the other thing too is the flamers are a big disincentivization to charge them, and you know, we can't get get fight on death with them or anything like that. So like losing your like almost 300 points of dudes to like some incubi or some witches or you know one troop of quins or whatever feels really bad. Where if you're like, yeah, they all all three of them have 2 heavy flamers, so come on in if you want. Please do.
And their combat profile just absolutely slaps in the meta right now as well. So strength 10, neg 4, 3 damage is like premium into so many things.
Yeah. They just have to live.
Yeah, they got to make their way in.
That's the key. You got to actually... It's why I'm in Grey Knights, I'm like using Tide of Celerity a lot. I used to go into Convergence all the time, and then I realized like, yeah, Convergence makes your charges scarier, but you have to make your fucking charges, right?
Yeah, is Celerity the charge bonus one?
Yeah, dude.
Dude, that's so good.
It was such a silent, like, everybody's like, what? Tide of Celery? I don't understand why you'd ever use this. It's like, well, what if I told you coming out of Deep Strike with a reroll, you have like a 88% chance of making your charge? I told you that.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's great to be like, I'm within 6 inches of you, so this is an unfailable charge. And folks are like, what?
Yeah.
So definitely flamers on the assault sense. And if you are a Grey Knight player listening to this right now, definitely try out Tide of Celerity, because it's money. It's way better than I think folks think it is. I think I'd rather just have straight up +2, but you know, whatever. I think 7-inch charges out of Deep Strike would be a little shitty for people though. So right. Yeah, people would really hate that. I mean, folks already hate that GSC do 8 inches, so you know. Anything else? I see no more questions in chat, so this will be your last call, my friends. It's been almost 3 hours. It's nearing 2 in the morning for Dineeth, so I'm gonna let him go to sleep.
It's all good, mate. I'm happy to finish up if you are, but I'm always ready to keep going.
Yeah, well, I'll see if see if we get any more questions in the next minute.
Yeah. Or
so. But happy Easter. I guess is.
Thank you. Same to you guys. It's probably Sunday morning for you guys, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
I'm not a religious guy, but you know.
Do you guys? I don't know. Do you guys do like Easter egg hunts with the kids? Is that a thing in America?
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I don't have any kids, but I remember growing up and going on Easter egg hunts, and my dad would like stay up late and dye eggs and then hide them all over the place. So
yeah, I could never find like the TV remote or my jumper or anything, but I could find those damn eggs.
You could find eggs. Are they just hard? Are they hard boiled eggs there too?
Oh no, they're like chocolate eggs for us.
Okay, yeah. So my dad would usually just hard boiled eggs, and I think I didn't realize this till like later. I think it's because I grew up kind of poor, and like real eggs are probably less expensive than chocolate eggs.
Damn, fair enough.
I mean, I don't know. I should ask him. I'm gonna go over to my dad's place for a barbecue later. So
well, maybe he was just looking after your teeth, mate.
Maybe that, yeah. I'm not a big sweets guy, thankfully, but that's why I'm not like 300 pounds. Anyway, we've gone way off now. We're not getting any more questions. We are getting a lot of thank yous. We got one from Lawrence, from Fred, and from Christian. So awesome. With that said, I will thank Dineeth. If you haven't checked out his podcast, the Normal Blokes podcast, it is awesome. It is on my subscription list. You should all listen to it. They have some amazing meta analysis and breakdown. They usually go through all the new books and talk about how ridiculous they are. If you want some comedy, go listen to their Tal Codex review, and I think Dineeth is just giggling the entire time.
Oh man,
It's
this
just an
we got some funny. The last 3 episodes, we got some funny guys on. The Tau episode was good. The recent one we did on tackling hobby burnout.
uh,
If you want to hear some Aussie slang or two, hit that episode up. There's some good ones.
I'm
But
into
yeah,
it.
always happy to have new listeners and shoot the podcast a message, and obviously keep watching Rick's stuff at
Thank you.
NoobHammer. It's awesome work. It's awesome work, and it's always a pleasure to be on, mate. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, and for all of you for showing up. I think this is my most watched interview ever, so I am super
Nice,
stoked.
nice.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that boring stuff that everyone says, and don't forget to